whole truth? Nothing but the truth? The hidden truth. The vital human drama of the famous lie detector, bringing you authentic case histories from the files of the late Leonard Keeler, one of the world's foremost scientific criminologists. Mr. Keeler's real-life part is played by Hart McGuire, who reveals from week to week some of the most baffling human dramas of our time. The hidden truth.
Probably no other scientific development for the detection of crime has received as much publicity as the polygraph or so-called lie detector. Nationwide publicity has made the public lie detector conscious. But one individual who follows the career of the lie detector with much more than passing interest, the one who reads every article written about it with avid attention, is the criminal or the potential criminal. Through careful study of the records, the criminal knows the lie detector is better than 90% accurate in exposing the hidden truth. And he knows the polygraph has brought about more confessions than any other form of crime investigation. Thus, the criminal has learned to fear the polygraph with a deep and a horrible dread. And the very prospect of being submitted to a lie test often forces a confession in advance of the test itself. A criminal's fear of the lie detector is the basis for tonight's drama. The drama of a man with an uncontrollable urge. The urge to kill women. Mrs. Alvin Vaness, an attractive woman in her middle 30s, had a feeling that something was wrong. Her husband of just a few months had been staying away for days at a time, and Mrs. Vaness had become obsessed with the suspicion that he was living a double life, that Alvin Vaness was married to another woman. She was so convinced her suspicions were well-founded that she sent for a private detective named Harry Underwood.
4 whole days. I haven't seen Alvin in 4 whole days, Mr. Underwood.
How long did you say you'd been married to him?
Since the 15th of April. That's less than 2 months ago.
I've taken plenty of guys who go out on private joyrides away from their wives, but most of them have been married more than 2 months.
I never should have given him that property.
You gave him some property?
2 days after the wedding, he told me the only way to have a marriage turn out successfully is to permit the husband to run all of his wife's affairs.
The guy's a super salesman. I could never make my little woman buy that kind of fiction. Matter of fact, she runs my affairs. And now?
Above everything else, I wanted our marriage to be successful. But now I realize how foolish I was.
Tell me, Mrs. Vaness, how long did you know this, Alvin before you married him?
Well, it was terribly sudden. I answered an ad in the paper.
What? You mean he advertised for a wife?
Yes.
Lady, you don't need a private detective. You need a brain specialist.
Oh, I know. But if you could understand how lonely I've been since my parents died and left me.
Left you with a nice fat parcel of real estate. You still got that ad?
Yes. Yes, it's right here in my desk.
Wait a minute.
Yes?
What's that part of stationery? Is that your signature signed at the bottom of each sheet?
Alvin asked me to sign this stationery for him.
Alvin did, eh?
He said I was to be his partner in business. He said he'd have to write a lot of letters to clients, and it would save a lot of time if I signed blank stationery in advance.
Yeah, may I see that ad?
Here it is.
An affluent gentleman, neat appearing and of courteous disposition, well connected in a business way, has quite a little property and is connected with several corporations. Has a nice bank account as well as a nest egg of government defense bonds. Would be pleased to correspond with a refined lady or widow with equal financial holdings. Object, matrimony, and business partnership. This advertisement is in good faith. answers will be treated with respect. Alvin G. Vaness, Townhouse. Same old come on.
Well, have you seen that ad before, Mr. Underwood?
Well, not this particular ad, but 100 just like it. How old are you, Mrs. Vaness?
Well, I...
Come on. I'm not going to broadcast it. I'm just professionally curious, that's all.
I'm 36.
36. And you let some guy hook you for your property? You act more like 16.
Oh, please, Mr. Underwood, I hired you to help me. I know I was a fool, but all I want now is my property back and my marriage annulled.
So that's all you want, as simple as that, eh? Maybe the guy's acting in good faith. It isn't easy to prove fraud between husband and wife.
How can he be in good faith when he's away half the time? There's another woman. I know there is.
Well, there might be. But what makes you sure he's married to her?
Well, because he's away exactly half the time. He's with me 4 days and with her 4 days.
That's not much to go on, you know. If he's in real estate, he might be away for 4 days at a time on legit business.
But there's something else, Mr. Underwood.
Yeah?
He told me he'd never been married before.
Oh. You think he has been?
I know he has. He's so experienced with women. You've got to find that other woman, Mr. Underwood. It's the only way I'll ever get my property back and get out of this awful mess.
When did you see him last?
This morning. When he left, he said he'd be away on his usual 4-day business trip.
Now, look, Mrs. Vaness, I'll try to get a line on him, but if I don't, I'll have to wait till he comes home and tell him on his next trip out. But if you want me to help you, don't do anything that might tip him off. Just act like the devoted bride, and whatever you do, don't let him know you suspect anything.
The assignment given Harry Underwood by Mrs. Alvin Vaness was similar to many cases he'd handled before, with similar complications. As a private detective without official police department sanction, Harry knew he had no legal authority to make arrests or to force entrance. But his job was to get evidence for private clients such as Mrs. Vaness, and if that evidence pointed to crime or misdemeanor, the district attorney's office would have to take it from there. After making the usual check at railroad, bus, and airport with no definite leads on Alvin Vaness, Underwood went to the address Vaness had listed in his newspaper ad, the Townhouse. He didn't go to the registration desk. Instead, he went to a friend of his of long standing, Carl Steger, the hotel's house detective.
Vaness, eh?
Yeah. His wife's a client of mine.
His wife? Since when's he had a wife?
Since a couple of months ago. Why? That a surprise to you, Carl?
Not to me, it ain't. But I know a lot of dames around this hotel will cry their eyes out if they ever find out about it.
Yeah? Keeps a stable full of fillies, huh?
He ain't keeping them, Harry. As far as I can figure out, they're keeping him.
Not bad. Hey, maybe you and me ought to take a few lessons from that guy. See what's he got.
That being a dame, I couldn't answer that. To me, he's just a plain-looking little schmo with kind of droopy eyes and a long, sad face. Maybe he's got something that don't show right offhand.
Yeah. Is he still living here?
Not right now. Checks in and out from time to time. I ain't seen him in a couple of months. Guess he's coming back, though.
Well, what makes you think so?
Last time he checked out, he left a couple of bags stored down in the basement.
A couple of bags, huh?
Yeah. I know what you're thinking, Harry, and the answer is
I thought you're a friend of mine, Carl.
Not good enough to lose my job over. I don't come in for monkeying with guest baggage.
Carl, if I were to send you out for big steak and you just happen to leave your pass key here on your desk.
Get lost, Harry.
If you were to accidentally tell me the number of the storage locker where the Vaness bags are kept.
Not a chance, Harry.
And if I were to forget all about the sawbuck I loaned you 6 months ago?
You checked that off the books, huh?
I will.
The stuff is in locker 16, and here's the key. Just leave it on my desk when you're through, but don't take nothing with you out of that locker.
Thanks, Carl.
No, just wait till I get out of the building before you go to work. If I ain't here, nobody can hold me responsible for nothing.
At almost that very moment, Alvin Vaness, the little man with the droopy eyes and the long face, was in another city about 75 miles away. Specifically, he was drifting on a park lagoon in a rented boat. The companion who snuggled close beside him was a comely red-haired woman in her early 40s.
Alvin.
Yes, Martha?
When I answered your ad, I didn't really expect anything as wonderful as this.
Oh? What did you expect?
Well, I was terribly suspicious at first. I thought it was just a trick to take my securities away from you.
Well, such a thought. I'm positively astounded and I'm deeply hurt.
Oh, now that I know you, and now that I've become your wife, I'm not suspicious anymore, and I wouldn't hurt you for the world.
My dear, I thought I gave you very good reasons for turning over your securities to me. To contract a successful marriage, a husband and wife must form a partnership with the husband naturally at the head of the corporation.
Oh, naturally.
Must you sigh in such a disgusting manner, Myrtle? You've been snorting like that all evening.
Alvin.
Little things like that get on my nerves, my dear. There's so many irritating things about women.
Oh, but Alvin, I had no idea that... what are you going to do?
Just because of those irritating things, the Lord only knows how many women I've killed, Myrtle.
Killed?
I have no control over myself. Something's making me do it. I can't stop. I can't stop.
Alvin, put down that
I'll kill
oar.
every woman in the world. I kill all of them. Early the next morning, Private Detective Harry Underwood called at the office of District Attorney Frank Dennis.
Now, don't go asking this office to help you out in any of your private deals, Underwood. I just let you in here for laughs.
Very funny.
Last time I helped you out, all I got was a panning from the newspapers, and you collected a fat fee.
Now, Frank, tell me, in your book, bigamy is a crime, isn't it?
Huh? What do you got, Harry?
Bigamy.
You sure?
I'll have to dump the whole case in your desk.
Let's have it.
There's a suitcase and storage locker over the townhouse. Women's clothes, half a dozen cheap wedding rings, 8 marriage licenses, some of the custom jewelry, and $8,000 worth of defense bonds.
Now, wait a minute. How did you get into that suitcase?
Frank, come now. Remember the ethics of our profession. You don't really expect me to answer that, do you?
Whose case are you working on?
Private husband and wife deal. The wife suspected another woman and put me on the trail, that's all.
What's the name?
Vaness. Alvin Vaness.
Mm-hmm. I'll bet he check the files on Vaness. Alvin. Now, Vaness, V as in Victoria. Bring in anything you find.
Don't know what the guy's real name might be. Those marriage licenses in the suitcase give you a choice of 8 different ones.
There's a suitcase now.
Locker 16 of the townhouse. You don't think for a minute I lifted it, do you?
Yes, I do, Harry. You've lifted hotter evidence than that.
Sometimes I wonder why I do business with you, Dennis. You're an insulting kind of guy, you know that?
Yeah. Insults roll off your back like a bucket of water. Yes, Betty.
I couldn't find anything on Alvin Vaness in the files, Mr. Dennis.
Yes, but what?
A man's waiting outside to see you. And his name is Alvin Vaness.
The Hidden Truth continues in just a moment.
Before admitting Alvin Vaness into his office, District Attorney Frank Dennis sent Harry Underwood out the side door with instructions to pick up the incriminating suitcase as quickly as possible. This time, Harry was armed with an official order permitting him to enter the locker and seize the suitcase. As soon as the private detective was on his way, Alvin Vaness was ushered in.
Sit down, Mr. Vaness.
No, thank you. I'm altogether too outraged to relax.
Oh? What's your complaint?
Mr. Dennis, I've been robbed of $8,000 worth of defense bonds.
Defense bonds? Who'd rob you of those? They can't be cashed without your signature.
Yes, but other things are missing, too. Jewelry and important papers.
Yeah, well, suppose you give me the details.
Yes, well, when I checked out of the townhouse to get married, I left some bags there for storage. When I went to claim them today, I discovered the theft. The contents of one of the bags had been completely removed.
Under the circumstances, Mr. Vaness, I think I'd better lay a few cards on the table.
What? Are you insinuating that you know something about this?
Just this. For reasons of his own, a private detective searched your suitcases last night.
Hey,
Mr. Vaness.
come on, who's authority?
Unfortunately, private detectives are impulsive. They sometimes act without legal authority of any kind.
I demand his arrest.
I'll be only too happy to comply with your demands, but I feel as though I must inform you that he reported marriage licenses in that suitcase and wedding rings and other such paraphernalia suggesting that you might be a bigamist, Mr. Vaness.
A bigamist? Marriage license? Wedding rings? Why, the only marriage license I know anything about is the one issued when I was married 2 months ago. The only wedding ring I ever bought is on my wife's finger right now. That man's trying to frame me, deliberately frame me, and he's the thief who stole those bonds.
I wouldn't put it past him, but I hardly think he'd take that kind of a chance.
But who hired him? Who hired him to investigate my belongings?
I'm afraid you'll have to discuss that with him. For obvious and ethical reasons, I'll have to withhold his client's name.
Did my wife hire him?
To change the subject, let's get back to this alleged robbery. What
I
kind of...
said, did my wife hire him?
Vaness. I suggest that you go home and wait until I call. I'm going to handle this case personally, and I promise you fast action. You can depend on that.
Greetings, my dear.
Oh, Alvin.
What's this, Florence? You're trembling.
Why, of course I am. I didn't expect you home for 2 more days, Alvin. I couldn't imagine who was walking in here without knocking.
But I finished my business rather earlier than I anticipated. Perfume?
Do you like it?
I don't know. What you call it, Florence?
Oh, it has a silly name. Well, you know how silly names of perfumes are.
What name have they given the perfume you're using?
It's called Sudden Death.
Sudden death. Appropriate.
Alvin, you look terribly strange. Are you angry with me?
It's merely an urge, my dear.
Urge?
Yes. An urge to take you by the throat like this.
Alvin! Alvin! Oh, Mr. Underwood is here with the suitcase, Mr. Dennis, and he's brought Mr. Stager with him.
Mr. Who?
Mr. Stager, Carl Stager, the detective at the townhouse.
Oh, yes. Well, show those file advances in here.
I heard that, Dennis, and I don't like the record.
Let's have that suitcase, Harry.
It won't do you any good. My pal Stagey here saw a chance to clean it out and put the rap on me.
I cleaned nothing out. Harry Underwood wheedled the passkey out of me and got me out of the building. I wasn't even around when he lifted the stuff out of that bag.
Betty.
Yes, Mr. Dennis?
Outside.
Oh, yes, sir.
Now, let's get this straight. I understand from the compliments you gentlemen are exchanging that suitcase is quite empty.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, as you know, I've been plagued considerably by private detectives who overstep the bounds of their authority.
Now, don't start that again, Frank. After all, a living is a living, and
Either you or Stager or Alvin Vaness or all 3 of you are in for a cooling off. Now, we're all going out to the Vaness place right now and find out which way the chips fall.
Mr. Dennis, it's quite obvious to me that this entire thing is a frame-up between this Underwood person and my wife.
It's no frame-up, Vaness. Your wife suspected you of bigamy, and I had the goods on you until you cleaned that suitcase out yourself.
Preposterous.
You notice, Mr. Dennis, he's quit laying it onto me and blaming Vaness, for which I am grateful indeed.
Shut up,
All of
Stager.
you, shut up. Now, Mr. Vaness, if your wife has any suspicions, I'd like to question her about them. Where is she?
She left me this note, Mr. Dennis, and she's gone out of town to visit relatives in the West.
Hey, let me see that note. Here, what do you think you're doing, Underwood? Frank, he wrote this himself on a typewriter. I saw a whole pile of blank stationery where he got his wife to sign at the bottom of each page.
What? Why, that's absurd.
Absurd, eh? Well, I'll show you.
Here, stay out of that desk.
Underwood. What the... Hey,
case clear out, Frank. The whole file's gone.
Now, look here,
Look here, all of you.
Now, I want all three of you to get in my car. We're going down to see Keeler at the lie detector lab and get to the bottom of this thing.
Lie detector?
Yes, the Keeler polygraph. Any objections, Mr. Vaness?
Why should I object?
You know better than I. What about you, Harry?
If Vaness will go for it, count me in.
Figure?
Well, of course, working around a hotel, a man is subjected to certain temptations, and it might be embarrassing.
The only questions Keeler will ask you will pertain to this particular case. Now, what about it?
Well, under them conditions, this is okay.
Alvin Vaness was the first to enter one of my private interrogation rooms. Mr. Vaness, are you familiar with the way the polygraph operates?
I've read quite a bit about it, yes.
Then you know there's very little chance to beat the polygraph, Mr. Vaness.
Yes, so I understand.
Are you ready to go ahead with the test?
Yes. Yes, I'm ready.
Vaness, what are you doing with that penknife?
I'm quite ready.
No, Dennis! Dennis, come in here!
What's he done?
It was almost midnight at the county hospital. Frank, Dennis, and I had been waiting hours for a report on the condition of Alvin Vaness. If he improved, we might get the story. If not, the secret of his crimes might die with him. Oh, how does he look, Dr. Fleming?
We've stopped the loss of blood, and he's resting pretty comfortably.
Any chance of talking to him tonight, Doctor?
In a few minutes. The nurse is getting him ready. I think you've got a moral imbecile on your hands, gentlemen.
A what?
That term was originated by the early criminologists, Frank. They figured out about 20% of the people apprehended for major crimes are suffering from some moral defect.
Moral imbecile, huh?
Unfortunately, individuals in this group rarely, if ever, respond to any form of treatment thus far devised by society. I'm genuinely sorry, gentlemen.
Vaness!
I'm genuinely sorry, gentlemen, but I couldn't control myself. My nurse was an irritating woman, and therefore I found it necessary to kill her.
In the stark white light of a hospital room, we heard the unbelievable confession of Alvin Vaness. A confession forced by his fear of the lie detector. A confession that made the fancied crimes of Bluebeard insignificant in comparison.
I must have been born with some strange personal magnetism over women, but they were all repulsive to me. All of them. It seemed quite easy for me to marry women who were refined and educated and had small fortunes of their own. Sometimes I was married to as many as 4 at the same time, and living in the same city.
You mean none of these wives suspected the game you were playing?
Only Florence suspected. You'll find her body underneath the board floor of my garage.
Vaness, about those blank sheets of writing paper you got your wives to sign.
Hmm? Oh, yes. After I murdered a wife, I would continue writing to her friends and relatives. I would use a typewriter about her own signature. In that way, there would be no suspicion that anything had happened to her.
Just how many wives have you killed, Mr. Vaness?
I really couldn't tell you.
What? Don't you know?
There were so many. The 2 I pushed over the falls at Alberta, the one in the Park Lagoon, and the one who lisped to the point of driving me out of my mind. And
How many, Vaness? How many?
I can't be sure. There must have been at least 20.
20?
I couldn't control myself. Something snapped inside my head. I had to kill women. All women.
make a psychiatrist and find out what makes a man like Vaness tick?
Possibly, but I doubt it, Frank. I'm inclined to agree with August Vollmer, who's rated as the greatest criminologist in the country today.
What's his theory?
According to Mr. Vollmer, there's no single cause of crime. The reasons for delinquency are complex. Punishment is not the solution. There's no simple remedy. The homicidal impulses of Alvin Vaness might have been checked in the formative stages of childhood, but who knows? It's a job for science, Frank. And all we can do is keep working at it and hope someday we'll find the right answer.
The truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, the hidden truth. The vital human drama of the famous lie detector, bringing you authentic case histories from the files of the late Leonard Keeler, one of the world's foremost scientific criminologists. Mr. Keeler's real-life part is played by Hart Maguire, who reveals from week to week some of the most baffling human dramas of our times. The Hidden Truth.
In all the incredible history of the lie detector, I can't remember a more incredible series of events than those which shaped the human drama about to unfold this evening. About 3 o'clock one cold and blustery winter's morning, Mrs. Alex Graham cried out in her sleep.
Oh, I can't stand it. Alex, wake up, please.
There was no answer to Mrs. Graham's outcry.
Alex! Oh, what's the use? Oh, I'd better phone myself. Operator, get me a doctor, please. I'm in terrible pain. What? Oh, any doctor. Oh, 1214 Avenue A. Hurry. Oh, hurry, please.
Hello in there. Hey, what do you think you're doing?
Glad to see you, officer. Maybe you'd better look into this.
Yeah? First, I think I'd better look into you. What are you doing out here, pounding on doors this time of the morning?
Excuse me, I can understand how I might look suspicious.
Very suspicious. What's your name?
Dr. Mills. I'm an intern on the staff at Memorial Hospital.
Yeah? Live in this neighborhood?
No, the phone company called in and said someone in this house wanted a doctor in a hurry. I tried the bell a half dozen times, and I've been pounding on the door. Maybe we'd better break in.
Now, wait a minute. You got proof you're a doctor?
Yeah, shine your flashlight on this.
Looks okay. But I can't break down any doors without a court order.
Look, officer, someone in this house is sick or they wouldn't call a doctor. Do you think this is any time to worry about legal red tape?
Well, if it's all the same to you, I'd rather wait for the sergeant to come around. If he says it's okay...
How soon will he be around?
He makes the rounds about every hour. Let's see, he drove through this neighborhood about 35 minutes ago. That means he ought to be...
You think I'm going to stand here and wait 25 minutes when someone might be dying in there?
What about my job? If I make a decision like this and the sergeant don't like it, I'm liable to get shipped to the sticks somewhere.
Well, let's assume that you didn't make the decision. I did. Come on, let's try to crack this door.
Wait. I don't like this one bit. I'd better walk down to the call box and phone the station.
Then please hurry. I'll keep knocking on the door and see if I can rouse anyone.
I didn't think I'd ever be able to get downstairs.
Hey, what's the trouble here, lady?
Never mind, I'll handle this. Here, I'd better help you over to that sofa. Give me a hand, officer.
I tried to get my husband up, but nothing ever wakens him.
You must be a heavy sleeper to stay in bed through all this racket.
Here, now lie down here, please.
I've never had such a sharp pain in my life. Oh, it's almost like a knife.
Where is the pain?
In my side. Right here.
A little pressure here.
Oh, don't!
Oh, officer.
Yeah? What is it? Something she ate?
I'm going to wrap my coat around her and get her down to the hospital in my car. I don't want to take the time to wait for an ambulance.
Is it that bad?
After you help us out to the car, come back and phone Memorial Hospital. Tell them to put in a call for Dr. Warren.
Warren?
Yes, chief surgeon on the staff. Tell him to get the operating room ready for an emergency appendectomy. Then try to get her husband up and tell him what's happened. I hope I got her here in time, Dr. Warren.
Mills, I don't like the looks of this.
Is something wrong?
No inflammation whatsoever. Perfectly normal appendix.
What? But there was every symptom. I'd be willing to swear that...
I know. Looked like an emergency case to me, too.
The severe pain in that region. What would any doctor think?
Nurse.
Dr. Warren, she stopped breathing. She's...
Oxygen. Oxygen at once. Mills, I don't know what to say about this. We made a bad error in diagnosis.
Well, we thought we were doing our best for her. No one can deny that.
Well, I'll make out the report. Emergency appendectomy. Patient succumbed under anesthesia.
I'd give a lot to know what really did cause that severe pain, Dr. Warren.
Yes, so would I. I'm going to ask your husband's permission to probe further and make some laboratory tests. Anything we can track down might prevent a repetition of this unfortunate business.
Hey, Dr. Mills, I hear things didn't go so good for the Graham woman.
No, things didn't, officer. Did you bring your husband with you?
Look, Doctor, when we first went in her house, she did mention her husband, didn't she?
She did. She said she tried to get her husband up, but nothing ever awakens him.
You sure of that, huh?
Certainly.
I went through that house from basement to attic, and no husband.
What? But she mentioned her husband, officer. He must have been in the house.
If he was, he didn't do any sleeping there last night. The only bed mussed up was the one she was sleeping in, and that was a single. There was another twin bed in the room with the covers turned down. I guess it was ready for someone who never came home because it had fresh sheets on it that weren't even mussed.
Mills, do you suppose she thought her husband was there when he actually wasn't?
It's possible in her severe pain that she didn't realize that he hadn't come home.
Yes, it is possible. See here, officer. It's very important that we find her husband without any further delay. I'd appreciate it if you will check with some of the Graham neighbors and see if they can give you any information about him.
What, 4:45 in the morning?
I think it's very important that you should try to locate him, officer, without any further delay.
Okay. I'll go back to my beat, and when the sergeant comes around, I'll ask.
Good Lord, we've been all over the sergeant business before. Can't you do anything on your own initiative?
Sure I can. Providing the sergeant okays it.
Well, will you please get back to us as soon as possible with any information you can pick up? If you can't find her husband, find her next of kin. We've got to notify one of her relatives.
Right. If the sergeant okays my making an investigation, I'll report back to him and have him call the lieutenant.
The lieutenant?
Sure. All my reports clear through the sergeant, and he clears them through the lieutenant. That way, everything gets done faster, see?
No, I don't see.
Oh, never mind. World's full of red tape, Mills. Go on. We'll have to make a full report on this. I want a description of the operation right up to the point of death.
I want to look at that incision you made. Again, Dr. Warren, I want to satisfy myself that there was absolutely no inflammation of that appendix.
I think you'll prove that to yourself quickly enough.
Well, I'd be willing to bet that 99 out of 100 doctors in a similar situation and with similar symptoms would diagnose it as acute appendicitis.
Yes, but on the other hand, too many of us blame the appendix for all sorts of abdominal pains. I, for one, won't be caught again, I assure you.
Well, I sure wish they'd sent someone else out in this case beside me.
Oh, that's part of your internship, my boy. You'll have to learn to take all cases as they come, do your very best with each one of them. With your medical training and a great deal of care in diagnosis, your margin of success will be much greater than your margin of error. That's all they can ask of any doctor.
You're being very kind about this, and I appreciate it, Dr. Warren.
Don't forget, I'm not an intern, and I made the same mistake. Here, let's examine that incision. I'll show you just how wrong... By George Mills.
Dr. Warren, that incision. Someone's been here and...
Someone's been here is right. The entire inner stomach has been removed. Nurse, come in here.
What is it, Dr. Warren?
Who's been in this room?
Why, no one, Dr. Warren. Except her husband came in to identify the body.
Her husband?
Why, yes. Didn't you know he was here, Dr. Mills? He said he had your permission.
Her husband? Well, I'll
never... handle this, Mills. That's all, Miss Bates. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Warren.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes?
Call the district attorney's office. Ask him if he can get over here as quickly as possible.
It's pretty early in the morning, Dr. Warren, only a little after 5.
I know, but I think they'd better get him up.
All right. Is it something about Mrs. Graham or her husband?
If you don't mind, I'll save that for the district attorney, Miss Bates.
Yes, Doctor.
Dr. Warren, I swear I never saw her husband. I haven't talked to anyone about this case except you and that police officer and Mrs. Graham herself.
Whoever removed that stomach did a very professional job, Mills.
But I'm no surgeon. Surely you don't think that I... Wait. What about...
Oh, of course. I'm a surgeon, am I not? Do you have the audacity to insinuate that I...
You came back in here. You were all alone for 10 minutes after she died. You had all the time in the world to...
You've said enough. I might mention that you, too, spent some time here alone, Mills. You came in to pick up the charts and stayed rather longer than necessary.
I am not a surgeon, Dr. Warren. And you yourself expressed the opinion that this is a very professional job.
Oh, look here, Mills. We're acting like children over this thing. We've allowed ourselves to be upset by the knowledge that there'll be an investigation made. We'll both be under suspicion, it's true, but if Miss Bates allowed Mrs. Graham's husband to come in here...
Suppose the husband turns out to know nothing about surgery.
Then we'll have to do some thorough investigating here at the hospital.
They'll think one of us tried to cover our mistake.
Oh, I'm not so sure. But in view of what's happened, I'm quite sure I know what caused her pain, Mills.
So am I. Poison.
Of course, poison. And whoever poisoned her didn't want it to be found in her stomach. The evidence has been removed.
Then it's obvious that her husband knew she was poisoned.
It seems even more obvious that he poisoned her. But we'll let the police make those kind of deductions. All we can say is that her husband was in this room alone, and that her stomach was removed by means of expert surgery.
He probably thought we'd never discover it.
That's why we've got to keep this discovery very quiet. If he doesn't suspect that we know, it'll be much easier for the police to contact him.
Well, gentlemen, we got it all straightened out. The neighbors knew all about Mrs. Graham.
Well, close that door, officer. We don't want to disturb the other patients.
It didn't take the sergeant and me long to find out that she hasn't got a husband.
What? This thing's gone far enough, officer. You heard her mention her husband, and so did I.
Yes, and her husband actually came to this hospital tonight.
What are you trying to give me? How could he come here? Alex Graham's been dead for 5 years.
Dead?
Are you sure?
Sure, I'm sure. I even found a half-dozen neighbors who went to his funeral. He died suddenly in his sleep one night and made his wife go wacky. She tells everybody he isn't really dead, but just a heavy sleeper. Can you imagine that? When all our neighbors saw them put him in his grave.
But a man who claimed to be her husband came here tonight.
Yeah? Was he wearing a shroud and carrying a heart?
This is anything but funny, officer. Better call your sergeant and have the sergeant call the lieutenant and tell him to call out the whole police force. The death of Mrs. Graham looks like the most brazen kind of murder.
The cast of characters in tonight's real-life drama of The Lie Detector includes Mrs. Alec Graham, who was rushed to Memorial Hospital by Dr. Mills, a young intern, Dr. Warren, head surgeon at the hospital, who officiated at the operating table upon which Mrs. Graham died. A nurse who witnessed the operation. Police officer Elrath, who assisted Dr. Mills, and a stranger who called at the hospital posing as Mrs. Graham's husband. The plot, of course, involves the disappearance of the dead woman's inner stomach, apparently removed by expert surgery. The next figure to enter this drama is District Attorney Charles Allison, whose immediate problem is to identify the principal unknown factor in the case. The man admitted to the dead woman's room by the nurse on duty at the time, Eleanor Bates.
Tell me, Miss Bates, when did you first see this man?
He got off the elevator on the operating floor and came right to my desk, Mr. Allison. He was terribly distraught and seemed as though he'd been drugged.
Drugged?
Then I realized that it was something else. He seemed half asleep. I had trouble understanding.
Wait a minute, Miss Bates. This man told you that an officer told him his wife was here?
Yes.
Officer Elrath, is that true? Did you see her husband?
I did not. You know she hasn't got a husband. You saw the death record. He died 5 years ago.
Did you see anyone who claimed to be her husband? Did you tell anyone that Mrs. Graham was at this hospital?
I didn't see anyone. I didn't tell anyone, except the sergeant. I went through that house and found one bed that was slept in and another one turned down like someone was expected, but it hadn't been slept in. Now, the neighbors told me that...
I know. She refused to believe her husband had died and every night turned his bed down for him just as though he'd actually come and sleep in it.
Yeah, the woman was nuts.
She might have been nuts, but when her husband died, he left her $100,000 worth of insurance. We can't find any record that she spent very much of it. What's happened to that money?
Got me. I didn't see it around the house, if that's what you mean.
If she was crazy enough to think her husband is still alive, she might be crazy enough to hide it somewhere instead of putting it in a bank. If someone found out about that money...
Sure. It'd be a simple matter to poison her, and after they carted her away, all he'd have to do is pick up the dough.
Might have been slow poison. Whoever did it probably didn't reckon with her being taken to a hospital. He was afraid they'd discover the poison here and took a very bold method of lifting the evidence. Elrath?
Yes, sir?
I want you to join my men at the Graham home. I want to be sure that nothing's been disturbed since you checked over the place last night.
Okay. I just hope I don't find somebody laying in that empty bed, that's all.
Hello, an outside wire, please. Beg your pardon? Oh, this is Charles Allison. I'd like my office, if you please. Yes, I'll wait.
The man was terribly shocked when I told him Mrs. Graham was dead. He couldn't seem to believe it and insisted on seeing the body. I took him as far as the door.
Hello? Allison. Looks like poison and possible robbery, Fred. But if it's poison, it's been removed, stomach and all. If it's robbery, we don't know what and how much. I'm going to play a hunch, Fred. I want you to go back 5 years and get out the records on Alec Graham, deceased. He left about $100,000 worth of insurance, and I'm going to have his body exhumed.
Two days later, District Attorney Charles Allison sat in my office. He was a very puzzled man.
Honestly, Keeler, if your lie detector can't unravel this mess, I'm not sure that anything can.
Yeah, let me see. 4 known suspects, 1 unknown.
Yes. 2 of them with obvious motives, 1 with a hypothetical motive.
As I understand it, Dr. Warren might have tampered with the body in order to take attention away from the fact that he shouldn't have operated in the first place.
Yes, and that intern Mills might have committed some blunder, such as giving her the wrong medicine. He's trying to cover.
It was the man who posed as her husband. Why are you coming on that?
Nurse gave us a complete description, but so far we haven't gotten anywhere on tracking him down. We've made a pretty thorough search of the Graham home, too. No evidence of poison, no evidence of robbery, not much evidence of any kind. Except that we're quite certain no man lived in that house.
About her husband's body, you were going to have that exhumed, I understand.
Yes.
Well, suppose you find evidence of murder in the death of Alec Graham. That would take the case back 5 years. Oh, excuse me. Yes, Keeler. Oh, yes, he's here. For you, Allison.
Thanks. Hello? What? Well, that's incredible. Are you absolutely sure? Well, I'm going right out there. I've got to see that for myself.
Something to break for you, Allison?
Keeler, there's no body in that grave.
There's what?
They just finished opening that grave a few minutes ago, and the body is gone, coffin and all.
While Charles Allison concentrated on the search for the missing body of Alec Graham and the mysterious person who posed as Alec Graham, I went about the business of running polygraph deception tests on the known personalities in the case. Now, your name is Edgar Warren.
It is.
Just answer yes or no, please.
Oh, that's an interesting machine, Mr. Keeler. Blood pressure curve, pulse rate, respiratory curve, and measurement of skin resistance,
Yes, I'm glad you're familiar with this operation. Actually, the more you know about the polygraph, the more difficult it is to beat.
Oh, I see.
Shall we continue?
Yes. By all means.
Is your name Edgar Warren?
Yes.
Dr. Edgar Warren?
Yes.
Do you live in this city?
Yes.
Have you had something to eat today?
Yes.
Did you perform an appendectomy on Mrs. Alec Graham?
I started to, but she succumbed on the table.
Just yes or no, please. Dr. Warren, did you remove Mrs. Graham's stomach?
No.
You're quite sure you've eaten today?
Yes.
You're sure you didn't remove that stomach in order to take attention away from your misdiagnosis?
What the devil are you getting at, man? I'm head surgeon at this hospital. Are you questioning my integrity?
You know about that operation, Dr. Warren. You're covering up for someone. Now, Dr. Mills, any discussion will only delay the test. Please answer my questions with either a yes or a no. Understand?
I understand. Go ahead.
Is your name Thomas Mills?
Yes.
Dr. Thomas Mills?
Yes.
Do you live in this city?
Yes.
Have you had something to eat today?
Yes.
Did you know Mrs. Alec Graham?
Yes.
Did you perform any sort of an operation on Mrs. Graham?
No, I didn't.
Did you give Mrs. Graham any medicine?
Yes.
Did you make a mistake in what you gave her?
No.
Dr. Mills, did you give your patient a lethal dose of poison by mistake?
No, I did not. I had nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing.
Now, Miss Bates, you understand the procedure.
Yes, I understand, Mr. Keeler.
Mm-hmm. Is your name Eleanor Bates?
Yes.
You're a registered nurse?
Yes.
You've had considerable experience with operating techniques, haven't you?
No.
Have you eaten today?
Yes.
You've had quite a bit of experience in operating techniques, haven't you, Miss Bates?
I have not.
Yes? Do you want to continue the test, or do you think we can talk without the polygraph?
Turn it off. Please turn it off.
I hope you're sure of what you're doing, Keeler. We'll soon know, Ellison. We'll soon know.
But suppose his body is buried down here in the basement of his own home. How did it get here?
Well, I hope to answer that question as soon as Elrat gets back.
All right, hold it.
By George, Keeler, there is a coffin down here. But don't tell me Mrs. Graham buried it here herself.
Well, here's your full report, Allison. Number 1, Dr. Warren.
Anything on him?
No, except that he knows who performed that extracurricular operation. He was trying to protect a member of his staff. He suspected this person wanted to handle it in his own way.
Dr. Mills?
No. According to his polygram, Dr. Mills is a very serious young intern who seems to have good judgment and has every intention of becoming a top-flight physician.
And what member of the staff had reason
Eleanor Bates.
What? The nurse?
Yes. It was she who removed that stomach and gave it to the man who called at the hospital that night.
But why? What's the incentive for a thing like that?
$5,000.
Huh?
The man who came to the hospital that night was Henry Sellers, an undertaker in this city.
An undertaker?
Yes. He was the undertaker who originally buried Alec Graham. During the embalming, he noticed traces of arsenic and went to Mrs. Graham with his accusation.
You know? You found out?
Yes, I know, Mrs. Graham. You poisoned your husband for his insurance, didn't you?
If you'll bury him without disclosing what you found, I'll pay you $5,000, Mr. Sellers.
10,000.
All right, 10,000.
As months went by, Mrs. Graham began to have hallucinations about her husband. Her mind gave way gradually. She wanted her husband close to her.
If you were to bribe the gravediggers late at night and bring my husband's body to my house,
That'll be very expensive, Mrs. Graham. If anyone should find out and become suspicious that your husband's death was not caused by a heart attack.
I'm prepared to pay, Mr. Sellers. I'm prepared to pay.
But the death of Mrs. Graham Keeler.
Sellers grew increasingly more greedy. He knew that Mrs. Graham had a small fortune hidden somewhere. And if he could get her out of the way, Oh, Elrath, bring him in.
If only she died at home where she was supposed to die. You never would have found out. You never would have suspected.
Where is that money, Sellers? What did you do with Mrs. Graham's money?
You'll find it buried. In the cemetery.
Keeler, I'm becoming more and more convinced if every potential criminal knew he'd have to reckon with the lie detector, I don't think there'd be many criminals left in the world, potential or any other kind.
The Hidden Truth stars Hart Maguire as Leonard Keeler, dramatizing actual case histories.
Featured with him in tonight's presentation, you heard the following artists. Mrs. Graham, Moya O'Sullivan. Mills, Mark Kelly. Cop, Ed Heppel. Warren, John Bushell. Nurse, Dinah Shearing. Allison, Wayne Paulsing. Sellers, John Llewellyn.
Be with us again for The Hidden Truth, a Columbia Hilda Skur production.
We hope that you've enjoyed this recording, and for more happy listening, please visit otrcat.com.
The truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, the hidden truth. The vital human drama of the famous lie detector, bringing you authentic case histories from the files of the late Leonard Keeler, one of the world's foremost scientific criminologists. Mr. Keeler's real-life part is played by Hart Maguire, who reveals from week to week some of the most baffling human dramas of our time. The Hidden Truth.
The science of the lie detector is, in general, the study of human behavior. To be more concise, it's the scientific analysis of some particular human action, whether that action be the devotion of a martyr or the most atrocious crime. Therefore, lie detection is somewhat akin to the science of psychology, in that it deals with the human will and the complex gamut of love, fear, hate, greed, frustration, guilt, self-pity, and remorse, to name a few of the hundreds of human emotions which cause the will to function. It has been theorized with sound justification that the will drops passively into the beaten path which sentiment and reason have worn for it. It is no mere accident that one person lives in serene peace while another rushes headlong into violence. Behind the behavior of each individual are a multitude of forces which batter against the bulwark of the will. These forces might be summed up as the experiences of a lifetime. Tonight, through the science of the lie detector combined with forensic psychology, we're going to analyze the human behavior of Lydia Montrose, a beautiful girl with a deep and deadly complex, an overwhelming oppression that led her to doom, The relentless complex of guilt. The scene is New York's Central Park in the dark and forbidding hours before dawn. Just a little after 4 o'clock on a warm July morning, to be exact. Lydia Montrose, an attractive girl in the middle 20s, is sitting on a park bench, her head held dejectedly between her hands. A shadow moves along the walk and stops before her. Lydia seems to feel the shadow's presence and raises her head to see the dark outline of a man, his face half lighted by a distant streetlight. A quizzical face, with a slight smile around the lips.
I know what you're thinking.
Do you?
Sure. You're thinking about all those things you've read, aren't you?
What things?
Oh, about girls who come into the park alone after dark. Things that happen to them.
Suppose I told you I don't care what happens to me.
Hey, is that an invitation?
Take it any way you like. Just make sure that I'm dead when you leave me, that's all.
Look, you've got the wrong guy.
Have I? Then what did you stop for?
Well, I just wanted to warn you, that's all. I thought maybe you were new around here and didn't know what a chance you were taking, that's all.
I'm not new around here. And I know what a chance I'm taking.
Well, besides, a cop might come along and, well, look suspicious out here at this time of the morning. He might pick you up for, vagrancy or something.
He might pick you up, too, don't you think?
Me? What for?
Don't you think you might look suspicious?
Not to any cop in this park, I won't. Walk through here every morning on the way to work. Every one of them knows me by my first name.
Must be miserable work. Such a miserable hour.
I ever hear of Bob Collins?
Bob Collins. Am I supposed to have heard of you?
Not necessarily. I thought you might have, though. I open one of the radio stations at 5 o'clock every morning. Some sort of a city-bred farm reporter.
I'm sorry for the farmers.
Yeah. Hey, just how do you mean that?
They're not going to hear you this morning, Bob Collins.
Yes, they are. Didn't stop to get involved with you, remember? I just stopped for word of warning.
Too bad you stopped.
Yeah, well, you take care of yourself.
You seem sort of young. Too bad it couldn't have been someone else.
I don't get it.
You have a wife and family, I suppose.
Oh, sure. That's why I don't get involved with you, for instance.
You are involved.
Huh? Oh, no. Thanks, just the same.
I'm sorry it had to be you. The farmers will never hear your voice again, Bob Collins.
Wait a minute. I didn't realize you'd been drinking. You better go home and have some sleep.
I haven't been drinking. I've been praying.
Hey, what's that you're holding in your hand?
Praying for your soul and mine. Isn't it quite obvious, officer? I killed him.
What? Bob Collins.
I'm sorry. He seemed like a very decent person.
Don't tell me Bob made a pass at you.
No. Quite the contrary.
Well, what made you shoot him? He been keeping you on a string or something?
I never saw him before in my life.
Well, what did he do? What's the pitch?
He didn't do anything. I killed him. In cold blood.
But you gotta have a reason.
Oh, I have a reason. 1,000 reasons. But you wouldn't understand any of them, officer.
This your gun on the bench?
I bought it last evening.
Your name?
Lydia Montrose.
Address?
Manor House. Temporarily?
Yeah. Temporarily is right. I got a hunch they'll be booking you at the county hospital for observation. They'll want to know why you killed a man you never saw before, who, by your own admission, didn't make any passes or anything.
Yeah, this kind of murder's a new one on me.
The officer's hunch was right. The district attorney's office looked into the past of Lydia Montrose and could find no reason for the murder impulse. The girl was raised in a respectable West Coast home. She had been graduated from an exclusive girls' seminary and had come to New York on her own. Her record of employment covered an assortment of jobs, from secretary with a publishing firm to odds and ends of professional modeling for magazine illustrations. She had held no one job very long because her employers found her morose and melancholy, a depressing influence on other employees. Nothing could be turned up that would connect her romantically or otherwise with Bob Collins. Questioning officers could get only one statement from Lydia Montrose, a statement which she kept repeating over and over.
I am a murderess and admit my guilt. There is no reason to delay any longer. I am ready to pay with my life for what I have done.
No Department of Justice likes murder without cause, and the New York District Attorney's Office was no exception. Was Bob Collins' slaying premeditated, or was it not? If not, what strange quirk or complex in Lydia's mind set off the murder impulse? As the arresting officer had predicted, the man assigned to her case was Dr. Bruce Standish, a psychiatrist with an international reputation who was visiting New York from England. It had been my privilege to have worked with Dr. Standish on several cases in the past, and after questioning Lydia Montrose for several days, Dr. Standish called me in from Chicago to assist him with the case.
Now, the more I talk to the girl, the more I'm convinced that the polygraph might unravel a lot of mysteries about her.
There's no question in your mind of what she killed Bob Collins, is there?
Well, on the strength of the evidence and her own admission, there can be little doubt of that. But then it's our job to find out what made her kill him.
What have you turned up so far?
A very strong guilt complex. You had any experience with those things, Nard?
Yes. Yes, occasionally I have had, Doctor.
Mm-hmm. Would you tell me something about it?
Well, occasionally, in running lie detector deception tests with a polygraph, I've had to deal with highly nervous subjects. Subjects obsessed with the fear that their nervousness might be recorded by the instrument as actual guilt.
Okay.
Truth is, however, that the polygraph pens record this nervousness as the normal pattern for that type of person.
Mm-hmm. And record guilty reactions over and above that normal nervous pattern, isn't it?
Yes, but there are times when such nervous subjects might give strong guilty reactions on the instrument when actually they're innocent of the crime they're being questioned about.
Oh? What would cause a thing like that?
Oh, some incident in the past that has plagued a person's conscience. Something that has developed into the guilt complex you've already mentioned.
Nard, what sort of incident?
Something as trivial as stealing a piece of candy from a grocery store as a child might cause a guilt complex. Or taking a nickel from a mother's purse. Or the complex might be more serious, caused by the drowning of a younger brother for whom the person felt responsible.
I see. Is this guilt complex, as detected by the polygraph, confined to any particular group of individuals?
Yes, generally, the sort of person who shows this strong complex is sensitive, high-strung, and has led a comparatively sheltered life.
Lydia Montrose falls exactly into that classification. Tell me, Nard, do you have a set of questions that might reveal the specific cause of a guilt complex?
Yes, I have worked out such a set of questions, Doctor. I've been quite successful in determining into which category the sense of guilt falls, whether it's robbery, for instance, or murder.
Well, Nard, if a polygraph test of Lydia Montrose can show us the underlying cause of her melancholia, her depression, and her obvious feeling of self-guilt, we'll have the hidden truth in this case. The reason why she murdered Bob Collins.
I can't promise anything, of course, Dr. Standish, but I hope this experiment turns out successfully. I hope so because the more we can find out about the reasons for murder, the more you psychiatrists can do about counteracting such acts of violence in the future.
Miss Montrose, are you awake?
Yes, I'm awake.
Ah, the nurse tells me that you slept quite comfortably this afternoon.
I don't want to sleep. I want to die.
Miss Montrose, let me explain just why your trial is being delayed.
Why should it be delayed like this? I killed him, didn't I? Why don't they execute me?
It's being delayed because we're convinced you have some disease of the mind. It's a disease that we want to know more about so that we might be able to check it. Or even cure it in other potential murders.
What do you hope to gain by making a laboratory guinea pig out of me? I honestly don't know what's wrong with my mind. So how can you hope to find out?
Have you heard of an instrument called the polygraph?
The lie detector.
Yes, it's called that too, but fundamentally, it records human emotions, the physiological changes that take place in the body as a result of such emotions.
I have no emotions. Not anymore.
Oh, you might have. And if there's some crime in your past that's haunting you, some crime that's gone unpunished, and you killed Bob Collins out of remorse for such a crime.
If there was, don't you think I'd confess it? I confessed to this murder, didn't I?
Miss Montrose, it might be a crime that's buried in your subconscious mind. And it's just possible that Dr. Keeler's questioning might penetrate that subconscious, so that it'll be recorded on the polygraph in terms of blood pressure, pulse changes, changes in your breathing rate, and fluctuations in your skin electricity. Miss Montrose. Miss Montrose, what is it?
I feel faint. Terribly faint.
Here, let me feel your pulse.
Something dreadful has come over me.
Miss Montrose, are you malingering?
Malingering?
Are you deliberately feigning illness? Your pulse seems very strong.
Yes. Yes. It is strong, Dr. Standish. It's strong enough to stab you to death.
Wait, stop it.
No, will they kill me? No, will they put me to death, too?
Dr. Standish was rushed to another room in the county hospital. In a few minutes, I was permitted to call on him. He was sitting up in bed, and except for a bandage around his chest, seemed none the worse for his experience with Lydia Montrose.
She'd broken a glass the nurse left in her room, Nard. She tried to stab me with a sharp piece of it.
Pleasant sort of a woman you wished on me, Doctor.
You know, I'm beginning to wonder if her guilt complex might be combined with something else.
Insanity is a pretty loose word, isn't it?
It certainly is, Nard. Unless you can nail it down to a definite type of insanity.
I've sent over to the hotel for a portable polygraph. With your permission, Doctor, I'll try to determine what sort of physiological responses are coupled to the mind of Lydia Montrose.
If I were you, I'd look specifically for a certain disease.
Yes. Yes, I think I know just what disease you have in mind. Under a glaring overhead hospital light, I found myself sitting at the bedside of Lydia Montrose, a girl who apparently killed on the impulse. And I had hopes the polygraph might unravel the mystery. I wasn't using the polygraph in the strict sense of lie detection. I was using it as a scientific analyzer of a human mind.
What do you hope to prove, Dr. Keeler? Why a lie detector test when I've confessed to a murder and an attempted murder?
Miss Montrose, this is something beyond a straight deception test. I prefer to call it an experiment in mental diagnosis.
Why?
Perhaps that question will answer itself as we go along. Now, I'm going to talk to you, and sometimes I'll use single words which may or may not have a meaning to you. Other times, I might ask a direct question. Now, if I do, answer yes or no, if you please, or don't answer at all. It really doesn't matter. Shall we go ahead?
It's quite immaterial to me, one way or the other.
All right.
Let's see what sort of a chart we can draw up on you, one way or the other. Now, please concentrate on the words I'm about to use, Miss Montrose. If you care to discuss any of them, please do so. If not, I'll keep going. You're a highly sensitive, nervous person, aren't you? I know, because your normal pattern indicates a highly emotional type. Nothing to say? Steel. Does the word steel mean anything to you? I knew it did mean a great deal to Lydia Montrose. The pens were definitely rising in their pattern. Miss Montrose, what about the word take? Now, here was something quite significant. Lydia Montrose had a guilty reaction to the word steel, but no reaction to the word take. Steel seemed to inflame her sense of guilt, while the milder word take did not. I deliberately called out a list of loaded words such as burglary, a guilty reaction, sex, mayhem, extortion, manslaughter.
Oh, stop it! Stop it!
I realize now that Lydia Montrose was reacting to the thought behind those words rather than to the word itself. In her highly sensitized state, it made her feel guilty just to hear these loaded words. This girl had a guilt complex that made her actually hate herself. I was convinced that Lydia Montrose had a morbid, deadly allergy to her own mind. Miss Montrose, tell me, have you ever heard of a disease called abulia?
No,
Does the word obsession mean anything to you?
nothing.
Melancholia?
I've had melancholia all my life.
The desire to die?
I've always had the desire to die. I want to die right now.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know.
Let me explain what I've learned about abulia, Miss Montrose.
Oh, please stop plaguing me.
Abulia is what psychiatry terms a partial paralysis of the will. It reveals itself in a general sense of weariness and discouragement. Now, this impairment or loss of willpower is characteristic of many forms of insanity. Do you think you're insane, Miss Montrose?
I don't know. I don't know, Dr. Keeler.
When you attempted to stab Dr. Standish with a piece of broken glass, you cut your own hand, didn't you?
I did?
Well, it's bandaged, isn't it?
I didn't feel anything.
I suspected that possibly you didn't. You see, Miss Montrose, a person suffering from paralysis of will is often deprived of volitional powers. Such a person might have no feeling at all when a needle is stuck into a finger, for instance.
Oh.
You see, the will is not an isolated faculty, but simply one aspect of the mind, while the mind itself is simply an aspect or manifestation of the body.
What is wrong with me, Dr. Keeler? Why have I no will to live? Why have I always wanted to die?
It seems quite obvious that your abulia, the melancholia which has paralyzed your will to live, has been caused by an overwhelming complex of guilt since childhood. Now, if we can find the cause of your guilt complex, we've found the germ, the actual embryo of your disease. Do you want me to try to help you?
Oh, yes. Please help me. Please. Please help me.
Then concentrate, Miss Montrose. Concentrate and listen closely. Girl. Child. Romance. Boy. Automobile. Train. Boat. I was watching Lydia Montrose, and I was watching the polygraph pens recording her physiological reactions to my words. The pens were tracing her normal, high-strung emotional pattern, but no specific reaction to any word so far.
I was searching for a word that would bring back some incident from the past. A key word that would penetrate her anguish and depression. Water, Miss Montrose. Electricity? Earthquake? Baby. Here was something, a slight reaction to the word baby. I kept going. Accident. Brother? Sister? Cut? Hurt? Fall? Fire? Fire, Miss Montrose, fire. Fire!
Save her! Don't let her die! Save her! Way down inside of me, there was a picture, Dr. Keeler.
Yes. A picture that turned up in your subconscious mind. There was a fire, wasn't there?
I don't know how old I was. Very young. I was staying overnight with neighbors. A tiny baby slept in my room. A terrible fire during the night. I ran screaming from the house. I could have saved the baby, but I thought only of myself. I let her die. I let her die.
You must have been very young, Lydia, because you'd completely forgotten it, hadn't you?
I guess so. There was always the dread, the fear, the depression. I didn't know why, but I wanted to die. And yet I was afraid to die.
I think we have it clearly defined, Lydia. A guilt complex born in childhood and growing stronger and more unbearable through the years until the willpower no longer functioned. The will to live was gone.
And you know why I killed Bob Collins? A perfect stranger. A man I'd never seen. And had done nothing to hurt me.
Yes. Yes, I think I do, Lydia. And I think I know why you attempted to kill Dr. Standish.
It was unbearable. I couldn't stand it any longer.
I understand. Most people who suffer from a diseased willpower desire to die, Lydia, but since their willpower is diseased, it will not function sufficiently to carry out the act of suicide. You killed Bob Collins that morning in a desperate attempt to have the state put you to death for murder, didn't you?
Yes.
And when that process seemed too slow, you tried to murder Dr. Standish to hasten legal execution, didn't you?
If you only knew what a torment it is for me to live, Dr. Keeler.
I don't know how much hope I can give you, Lydia. Under the circumstances, I hardly think they'll execute you. Your future seems destined to be in the hands of God and a mental specialist. Perhaps between them, they can save you from yourself.
Springbok Sunday Play. Authentic cases from the files of Leonard Keeler, pioneer of the lie detector in criminology. In these stories, based on real-life incidents, names have been changed for obvious reasons. Springbok Sunday Play presents The Hidden Truth. And now our story for this evening.
Most of us who spend our lives trying to penetrate the darkness of crime inevitably find ourselves surrounded by somber shadows that defy the strongest light of knowledge. Mysterious shadows that bear such forbidding titles as necromancy, hypnotism, and sorcery. Not so long ago, I found myself in the very middle of such shadows and was forced to pit my years of study in forensic psychology and the cold, scientific, calculating mind of the lie detector against those self-same components of evil that have baffled science for centuries. Necromancy, hypnotism, sorcery. A large upstairs bedroom in a rambling suburban home was filled with an eerie blue haze. A wispy column of smoke was rising from an incense burner placed on a table beside the crippled, bedridden form of Mrs. Alicia Struthers. Years before, Alicia had suffered a broken back. Only a tiny cord of her spinal column kept her brain functioning and her life intact. But lying there, year after year, took great toll on her brain. It functioned in a weird, mysterious manner.
Virginia! Virginia, I want you. What is it, Aunt Alicia? Come here, Virginia. Oh, the air's terrible in here, Aunt Alicia. I don't see how I can breathe with that incense burning all the time. As long as I keep it burning, nothing evil can touch me. It keeps them away. They don't dare come near me. Oh, here. You're all uncovered. Let me pull up your blankets. Virginia? Yes? I've been talking with him again. Oh, you're left alone too much, that's all. I'll have to talk to the nurse and insist that he spends more time with you. It isn't good for you to be left alone imagining. I was not imagining, Virginia. I was not imagining. But it's impossible. Deep down in your own heart, you know you can't really talk with someone. Someone who's dead. He's been dead for 15 years. Don't turn your eyes away. Look at me. But, this was a terribly interesting book, Aunt Alicia. Remember? The last chapter we read yesterday told us... Look at me! Don't, Aunt Alicia. Please don't. I talked with him, Virginia. Do you hear me? I talked with him. Yes. You talked with him. We decided that this is to be the day. No. Don't turn your eyes away. Keep looking at me. Yes, Aunt Alicia? Did you understand what I said? We decided that this is to be the day. All right. This is to be the day. Before this night is over, she is going to die, Virginia. Oh, but you can't make a person die just by conjuring up some ridiculous curse. You can't. He's looking at me. Yes, Aunt Alicia. You talked with him and decided that this is the day she is going to die. Deborah Garrett's beautiful, Virginia. I could have been beautiful if she hadn't crippled me for life. She's happily married to someone she loves. I could have been happily married to someone I love if she hadn't killed him. But it was an accident. Accidents happen all the time. She didn't deliberately. She did. 15 years ago, she deliberately killed him and condemned me to a life worse than death.
Good night, everyone. It was a swell party.
Certainly was. We had a wonderful time. Good night.
Gosh, Alicia, didn't think we'd ever get away. I'd rather be alone with you than all the rest of the people in the world.
Oh, I was just going to say the same thing about you, Fred. You must have read my mind.
Shall we walk or hunt for a cab?
Which would you prefer?
Let's walk. I have some things to say to you that I'd hate to share with a cab driver.
I was hoping you'd decide to walk. Gives me an excuse to be with you that much longer.
You little temptress. I've a good mind to abduct you and never take you home again.
I dare you. I promise not to struggle. Hey, wait for me.
Uh-oh, trapped again.
Deborah Lynch, wouldn't you know? You wouldn't want out in a lady in distress, would you? Look, Deborah, it's not our fault that you came to the party alone. No, is it my fault that Jim had to work until midnight?
Oh, well, come on, Debbie. We'll walk you as far as your place.
What? Oh,
should say not. I have Jim's car, and we're all going to pick him up at work and go down to the Wayside Inn.
Doesn't it occur to you that Fred and I might want to be alone?
Look, there's plenty of time for that. Jim made me promise to bring you along, or he wouldn't let me drive. Fred, you think we ought to?
I don't think we have much choice, Alicia. Where'd you park, Debbie?
Goodness sake, Deborah, will you look where you're going? You almost hit that milk truck. You mind your own business, Alicia. I'll do the driving, if you please.
Hey, don't speed up now, Debbie. You're coming to a curve. Slow down or you'll never make it.
Look out for that train! She wasn't even scratched. He said she'd had too much to drink and shouldn't have been driving, but she wasn't even scratched. She deliberately killed Fred. Look what she's done to me.
After all these years, Aunt Alicia, can't you forget? Perhaps if you try not to think about it.
We've talked it over for a long while, Fred and I. We watched her happiness when she married Jim Garrett. You watched her climb the social ladder, become the most popular woman in her community. She's gone far enough, Virginia. Look at me! I can't, Aunt Alicia. You can and you will. After the bottle, Virginia. Bottle in my dressing table. Aunt Alicia, do you realize
Bottle,
what... please. Yes. Yes, Aunt Alicia. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come to stay with me. You're like my own daughter, Virginia.
Please, this is asking too much.
Lean over me. Look deeply into my eyes. Look more deeply than you've ever looked before.
Yes. Yes, Aunt Alicia.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah, what can I do for you?
Are you the officer in charge of this police station?
I am Surgeon Driscoll, lady. What's your complaint?
I want you to put me in jail.
In jail? What for? Now, what'd you get yourself into, kid?
Nothing. I haven't done anything yet. But I have no control over myself. I'm liable to do something terrible and not realize it until too late.
Now, just a minute. Come here, kid.
I'm serious, Sergeant. If I'm not put somewhere safe so I can't get away, I don't know what I might do.
Come here.
You don't believe me?
You been drinking something?
No. No, you don't understand, Sergeant. I'm not drunk.
Hey, what's that stuff I smell?
There's nothing on my breath. I haven't been drinking. It's something else. Oh, please, lock me up for my sake and for someone else's.
But I gotta make a charge against you. Somebody's got to make a complaint. If you're an alcoholic, you go into the tank. If you're a psycho, you go into the ward. If you're a hophead, you get turned out for narcotics. If you're a dipso, you just
I don't care what you call me. Please put me behind bars.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I get it.
What?
You got a boyfriend, haven't you?
No, I haven't had time
Had to run in with him, haven't you?
No.
Look, I can see through your game, sister. Now get out of here and quit wasting my time. Go on.
You're going to make me do something desperate, Sergeant.
Hey, put down that bottle.
Now maybe you'll do something.
Yeah. You're right, sister. Now I gotta do something. Name, please.
Virginia Struthers.
Virginia. How do you spell that last name?
Struthers.
Okay. Address?
15 Crescent Drive.
Age?
21.
Date of birth?
January 20.
Hold it a minute. First precinct, Driscoll. Huh? How long ago? What's that name? Hold it. Get to me again. Address? Okay. We'll get right onto it. Jerry? Driscoll.
Get in here and book a dame for busting out front window, will you? Huh? I don't know. Figure the category out for yourself. I gotta get the coroner's office rolling on a death investigation. Okay, make it fast. Now, just sit down and make yourself at home, Virginia.
I'll wait.
Doc? Driscoll, Doc. 23 Oak Drive. Woman found dead. Deborah Garrett.
Deborah Garrett?
Yeah. The heir's office wants an investigation. Okay, Doc.
Deborah Garrett. Dead.
We'll return you to our Sunday play in just a moment. And now the second half of tonight's Sunday play.
As young Virginia Struthers was placed behind bars on a charge of damaging public property, and as a crippled Aunt Alicia lay in her incense-laden bedroom in her big house on Crescent Drive, a dramatic scene was being enacted a few blocks away. Dr. Shelley of the coroner's office was standing at the foot of the stairs in the Garrett home, leaning over the body of Deborah Garrett. With him was Willard Overmeyer, an associate of mine at the crime laboratories.
No sign of any violence, eh, Shelley?
Not at first glance. Looks like a tumble on the stairs. Broken neck.
Was she home alone?
Maid was upstairs asleep. Didn't hear anything.
What about her husband?
Out of town. Been notified. Coming in by plane.
Yeah, tough break.
Neck and head extremely loose. Rigor mortis set in over the rest of the body. A pretty sure indication of a broken neck.
Where was she? Where was she?
Good Lord.
All right. Get back. Get back, please.
You Mr. Garrett?
Yeah. How did it happen?
Pretty sure it's a broken neck. Looks like your wife tripped coming downstairs, Mr. Garrett.
That's a lie. Those letters. Alicia Struthers wrote. Letters?
For years she's been pestering us with those weird letters. One came last week and said that Debbie would die today. What's that?
Who is Alicia Struthers, Mr. Garrett?
Used to be a friend of ours about 15 years ago. She was crippled in an accident. The man she was engaged to died. She always blamed Debbie. Started writing letters, threatening letters in the past year or two. I think her mind must have become affected.
You said something about a letter that came last week.
Yes, it gave today's date as the date of Debbie's death. Oh, I suppose it's just coincidence. I'm being foolish, I guess. Alicia hasn't been out of her bed in 15 years.
Just the same, Mr. Garrett. In view of those threatening letters, I think Dr. Shelley had better perform an autopsy on your wife before we can permit this to go on the record as accidental death.
Willard Overmeyer and I were both present at Shelley's autopsy. The doctor made a slight incision down the median line in the back of the neck. This exposed one or two of the cervical vertebrae, and Dr. Shelley noted that a finger could be inserted in the spinous process when the head was bent forward.
Well, this is a pretty good indication that the neck is broken, gentlemen.
Then Overmeyer noticed a discoloration on Deborah Garrett's face. Shelley examined it closely.
Probably at birth, Mark. We'll have to check that with her husband.
I didn't notice that mark when we first found the body, did you, Shelley?
Frankly, I didn't. But then I was so convinced that the neck was broken.
Well, I'm not at all convinced. I think we'd better go into this a lot more thoroughly than that small incision, Shelley.
Further examination revealed that Deborah Garrett's neck had not been broken. As a matter of fact, it hadn't even been dislocated. There were no bruises on the body to indicate a fall. The discoloration on the face turned dark red. Microchemical analysis came up with the discovery the dark red mark was caused by a burn. A burn produced by an application of strong ammonia. Mrs. Struthers, Mr. Overmeyer and I have been assigned to question you relative to your threats against the life of Deborah Garrett.
We named the day. We named the very day.
We? Please explain, Mrs. Struthers.
I talked with him about it. She killed him and she crippled me. We decided it was only just that she should die.
Yes. I wonder if you'd object to being examined by Dr. Shelley?
You think I left my bed, don't you? Don't you?
We didn't say that, Mrs. Struthers, but in view of your threatening letters, you can readily understand why.
I understand well enough. Bring in your Dr. Shelley or any other doctor. They'll tell you that Deborah Garrett left me only a single cord to hold my spine together. They'll tell you that no human being in my condition can stand up and live. They'll tell you.
I'm quite sure they will. Then I take it you have no objections to being examined.
None whatsoever.
Speaking of examinations, Mrs. Struthers, would you be willing to take a lie detector test relative to any knowledge you might have about Deborah Garrett's death?
A lie detector test? Are you trying to kill me? Are you trying to subject a helpless cripple to scientific torture?
There's no torture associated with it, I assure you. It's just a simple recording of your emotional reactions to certain questions.
I'll have none of it. No one can blame me for refusing in the condition I'm in.
Your refusal can mean only one thing, Mrs. Struthers.
I don't care what it means.
It means that you're afraid of the polygraph. You're afraid because it'll reveal the fact you know more about this murder than you've told us. Do you expect us to believe that Deborah Garrett's death was caused by a curse you placed on her from a distance?
There's no crime in your courts that comes under that heading, is there, Mr. Keeler? You can't convict anyone for killing with a curse, can you?
That would be up to a jury to decide, Mrs. Struthers. By the way, I understand you have a niece.
What about her?
Where is she?
Isn't that a foolish question? Do you expect me to get up out of this bed and go traipsing around after her?
Oh, yes?
You ready for me?
Oh, yes. Come in, Doctor. Mrs. Struthers has consented to your examination.
It won't take him long to find out what Deborah Garrett did to me, if he's any kind of a doctor at all.
By the way, Mr. Keeler, there's a police sergeant outside who'd like to talk with you.
Huh? Oh, thanks.
Mr. Keeler?
Oh, yes, Sergeant?
I'm Driscoll over at the 5th Precinct. Got a young kid over there named Virginia Struthers. Says she lives at this address.
Well, that's interesting. What charge?
Disorderly conduct. But maybe you can get her on something else.
Huh? Why, what have you got?
Well, she came in late last night and acted like a dipso. I smelled her breath, but nothing there. I caught a whiff of something on her clothes, though. Didn't recognize it until I read the papers this morning about them ammonia burns on the Garrett body.
That's why I wanted to be locked up, Mr. Keeler. I was afraid I'd do it. But I swear I didn't do it.
Virginia, are you trying to make me believe that your aunt actually had you hypnotized?
I know it sounds fantastic, Mr. Keeler. I love my aunt, and I've always felt sorry for her. I wanted to do everything I could for her, and I guess I was an easy subject for her to control with her mind.
You insist that you didn't go near the Garrett home last night?
I didn't. I started to, but I kept fighting my aunt's will. I threw the bottle of ammonia away and...
Away? Where?
I don't know. I was walking around in a daze. Finally, I decided to come here to the police station. I knew I couldn't commit a murder here.
Of course, you know, Virginia, that's an old game.
I beg your pardon?
Well, many people have committed major crimes, then immediately committed a small one so they'd be locked up and overlooked in the hunt for the perpetrator of the big one.
I didn't do any such thing. I swear I didn't.
You didn't hold a rag soaked in ammonia across Deborah Garrett's nose and mouth until she was dead?
No. I couldn't.
Are you willing to take a lie detector test about that murder?
Yes. I'll do anything to prove to you that I didn't do it. I'll do anything.
Oh, it's you, Mr. Keeler.
I thought you might be interested in Dr. Shelley's report, Mrs. Struthers.
I'm not a bit interested in Dr. Shelley's report.
He says that you couldn't have gone to the Garrett home. One step out of bed would be suicide.
You think that's news to me? Do you think you're telling me anything that I don't know?
I've been examined by some of the best doctors in the country. They all say the same thing.
He also tells me you have a remarkable mind and a very strong will, Mrs. Struthers.
Is there any law against that?
Not unless you used your unusual powers to force someone into a crime. That would make you an accomplice, wouldn't it?
My niece. What have you done with my niece?
I've just given Virginia a polygraph deception test, Mrs. Struthers.
No. No, she had nothing to do with it. I can't let her be held responsible. It was all my will. I wanted revenge on Deborah Garrett more than anything else in the world. I couldn't do it myself, so I practiced hypnotism on Virginia. I gave her the ammonia and forced her.
I'm afraid you didn't practice your hypnotism long enough.
What?
Virginia ran a clear test in the polygraph. She managed to break your, shall we say, sorcerer's spell and give herself over to the custody of the police.
But that ammonia. The papers said that Deborah's death was caused
It
by...
was. Fragments of an ammonia bottle were found in the Oak Drive sewer. They contained fingerprints of the murderer, Mrs. Struthers.
But if Virginia broke my will and didn't go to the Garrett home...
The small bottle she carried was found behind a hedge with the contents intact.
But...
I don't know just what charge they might bring against you, Mrs. Struthers. Actually, your threatening letters to Deborah Garrett brought about her murder.
I told her. I wrote and told her the very day she would die.
I know. And you mentioned how she would die. That gave her husband an idea, Mrs. Struthers.
Jim Garrett?
Yes, Jim Garrett. Before he left town on his last business trip, he took out a double indemnity policy on Deborah's life. He engaged a hired killer to handle the ammonia, a well-known killer whose fingerprints were found on the broken fragments in the sewer. It looked like a cinch to incriminate you because of those threatening letters.
You have a confession from Jim?
Yes. He was given a lie detector test immediately following Virginia's. His blood pressure, his pulse rate, his breathing rate, his skin resistance didn't confirm his airtight alibi. He found that there's no hiding from his own conscience, Mrs. Struthers. And Jim Garrett's conscience was revealed by the lie detector for all the world to see.
We can rest now, Fred. It was divine justice.
I can't agree with you, Mrs. Struthers. No justice can ever be achieved by crime. Were it not for hate, greed, and revenge in the human mind, no law enforcement officers would be a part of our humanity. And no lie detector would ever be necessary. You have a brilliant mind and a strong will, Mrs. Struthers. Maybe it isn't too late to turn them both in the right direction.
Authentic, dramatized stories on the use of the Keeler polygraph, the lie detector, are the stories we bring you each week at this time in Springbok Sunday Play.
The truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, the hidden truth. The vital human drama of the famous lie detector, bringing you authentic case histories from the files of the late Leonard Keeler, one of the world's foremost scientific criminologists. Mr. Keeler's real-life part is played by Hart Maguire, who reveals from week to week some of the most baffling human dramas of our times. The hidden truth.
Tonight's real-life drama is the psychological and scientific study of a juvenile mind. The mind of 16-year-old Jimmy Waldo. Through recorded reactions of blood pressure, pulse rate, rate of respiration, and skin resistance, the polygraph, or so-called lie detector, looked into Jimmy Waldo's mind. What it saw in that mind is a lesson in child psychology that none of us who worked in that case will ever forget.
No, I didn't set them fires. I didn't set none of them, I tell you.
Jimmy Waldo lived with his hard-working parents in a community of steel workers in an Indiana city. Since his father worked at the blast furnaces all day and his mother was employed at a local bakery, young Jimmy Waldo spent a great deal of his time without parental supervision. From 9 to 3 each day, he attended school. But the rest of the time weighed heavily on his hands. We first find Jimmy standing among the crowd at a scene of a burning house. A house just 3 blocks away from his own.
Here they come. Here come the engines, but they'll never put it out. The flames are too high.
Hey, hurry up on the ladder, man. There's a woman trapped on the 3rd floor. Wait for the ladder. Don't jump.
Her clothes are burning. She's gotta jump.
Wait, lady, wait. Jump, lady, jump.
Mrs. Margaret Tomasello died in that fire. Her clothes ablaze, she jumped 3 stories to the concrete sidewalk, her flaming corpse making its own funeral pyre. Daniel Tomasello, the victim's husband, screamed murder to the local fire authorities.
Look, there was nothing wrong with that furnace. I checked it the last thing before I left the house. Somebody started that fire, I tell you. The basement window was broken, wasn't it? Somebody threw in some burning rags or something. Somebody murdered my wife.
Well, with the exception of that broken window, all evidence has been destroyed, Mr. Tomasello. It seemed to be a flash fire. No chance to save anything.
Look, I know somebody broke that window and started the fire. Somebody murdered my wife.
Uh-oh. There goes another alarm. We'll have to take this up later, Mr. Tomasello.
I'll make him a pay. Whoever murdered my wife, I'll make him a pay.
Hey, this alarm, it came in from District 2. Right in your neighborhood, Mr. Tomasello. This thing is getting to be a habit.
It's a firebug. There's a firebug loose around here, and you got to find him before he kills everybody.
Once again, young Jimmy Waldo was among the crowd at the scene of the fire, his eyes ablaze with excitement.
It's too far gone. They're never going to save it. It's too late for the fire engines now.
The second house, too, was a total loss. It seemed to be a flash fire that consumed the small frame building before the fire engines reached the scene. But those 2 fires were only the beginning. During the next 3 days, Jimmy Waldo's neighborhood was a nightmare of shrieking sirens and roaring engines as fire after fire was reported.
There go the fire engines again. That's the 7th fire in 3 days.
Fire Chief Mark Daly had to admit that 7 fires in one neighborhood, all within 3 days, represented more than mere coincidence. Then, too, although most of the homes had been completely destroyed, 1 or 2 of them had been left partially standing, and the fire inspectors had found 2 small fragments of rags. Fire Chief Mark Daly delivered these 2 small bits of evidence to Bennett Walsh, Chief Inspector of the Arson Detail.
Can you smell it, Walsh? Those pieces of rag reek with smoke, of course. There's something else there, too.
Yeah. Kerosene. Yeah, it's kerosene odor, all right. But whoever soaked these rags didn't do a good job. The oil didn't penetrate all of the cloth, or these pieces would have burned, too.
Well, at least we haven't had an alarm for about 6 hours. I guess those newspaper headlines have scared off the arsonist. Temporarily, anyway.
Say, Daly, look. What do you suppose this white stuff is on this cloth here?
I noticed that, too. Might be wood ash?
Might be. It feels sort of silky. It's more like flour.
Flour?
Yeah. Why, does that mean anything to you, Mark?
Ben, do you remember that first fire? The one that killed Dan Tomasello's wife?
Yeah. He made a lot of noise about murder, didn't he?
He's done more than that, Ben. He's practically been putting the finger on Jimmy Waldo.
Yeah? Who's Jimmy Waldo?
A kid in the neighborhood, about 16, I think.
What reasons did Tomasello give you for suspecting the kid?
Well, Dan claims he saw Jimmy Waldo at every fire. Says the kid was excited and directed the fireman.
That doesn't make much sense to me. What kid isn't excited at a fire?
That's what I told Dan. But now I'm not so sure. That flour on the rags we picked up.
Yeah? Well, what about it? What have you got, Mark?
Jimmy Waldo's mother works in a bakery. If it just happens she brings home empty flour sacks...
Hey, maybe Dan Tomasello has something. I think I better pay a visit to Jimmy Waldo's home.
Oh, there it goes again. I thought this was too good to last.
Mark, get on that phone and find out where that fire is. If the Waldo kid's there, I'll pick him up.
Hello? Hello? This is Chief Daly. Get me fire headquarters.
1:30. Kid ought to be in school at this time of the day. If he's at that fire, he's going to have some explaining to do.
Hello? Chief Daly speaking. Where's that fire? What? If that house bursts to the ground, I'll get myself a whole new fire department. Everyone will get the axe. Hear me? The axe.
Where is it? Same neighborhood as the other fires?
Yeah. It's the same neighborhood, all right. It's Jimmy Waldo's house.
Young Jimmy Waldo was a very frightened boy as he was taken into the office of Bennett Walsh, Chief Inspector of the Arson Detail. Young Jimmy was frightened, but extremely defiant.
What do you want with me? I don't know nothing about them fires. Everybody's saying I started them, but I don't know nothing about them.
Sit down, Jimmy.
Do you think I'd set fire to my own house? Do you think I'd do that?
I'm not sure, Jimmy. Did you start the fire in your attic?
No, I did not. What would I want to do that for?
Oh, possibly because your mother stored a lot of empty flour sacks in the attic, Jimmy.
Sure she did. She was always bringing them home to make kitchen curtains and things.
Jimmy, after you read about the fires being started with flour sacks dipped in kerosene, maybe you didn't want anyone to find those flour sacks in your attic.
Sure. Sure, I read about it. But that don't mean nothing to me. Other people have flour sacks, don't they?
Yes, I suppose so, but I think it might be more than coincidence that we found an empty kerosene can in your basement, don't you?
I never touched that kerosene can. Pop uses it to fill the lamps when the electricity is off during thunderstorms. The electricity's always going off during thunderstorms.
Yes, I know, Jimmy, I know. I learned from your father that he filled that kerosene can about 3 days ago. Before the first fire.
I don't know nothing about what went on in the basement. I hardly ever go down there.
Tell me, Jimmy, at 1:30 yesterday afternoon when that fire was discovered in your attic, where were you?
I was in school. I'm always in school at 1:30.
No, that won't do any good, son. You might have known we'd checked the school. You were hanging out at Marty's pool room, and you know it.
Well, what if I was? You're trying to frame me for them fires.
You lied to me about school, didn't you?
I hate school. Them teachers are always picking on me. I wouldn't go at all if the truant officer wasn't always sticking his nose into my business.
Your folks haven't the time to handle you, son. Someone has to look after your welfare.
Leave my old man and old lady out of this. Hey, if my old man knew so much about that kerosene can, how come you ain't got him in here?
You young rat. You trying to blame your own father for crimes that you committed? For your information, your father was at work at the time every one of those fires started. And so was your mother. They're working to give you an education and see that you get a start in life. And you show your gratitude by hanging out at pool rooms and trying to burn up the neighborhood.
I didn't burn nothing. You're just like the teachers. Everybody that was picking on
Look, Jimmy, look at this cigarette lighter.
Hey, put that out. Put that lighter out.
You can't look at it, can you, Jimmy? You don't dare look at that flame.
I seen enough flame. I seen people jumping out of windows and getting killed. I don't want to see no more flames. I don't want to ever see no more flames.
All right. It's out. But this cigarette light is a test, Jimmy. A psychological test. And you reacted just the way I thought you would.
Huh? What do you mean, psycho? I don't understand none of that stuff.
I do, Jimmy.
We found out long ago that an arsonist can't look at a flame without giving himself away by the wild gleam in his eye. You're a psychopathic, Jimmy.
No, I ain't. I ain't.
You're a firebug, Jimmy. And we have jails in this state where we lock up kids like you for a long, long time. You might even get a death sentence. The Hidden Truth continues in just a moment.
An empty kerosene can in the basement, flour sacks in the attic, and oil stains and flour streaks on the basement floor. This was the overwhelming evidence that influenced the jury in 16-year-old Jimmy Waldo's conviction as a diabolical firebug. An arsonist who started 7 fires in his own neighborhood, one of which resulted in the death of Margaret Tomasello. In spite of Jimmy's youth, the prosecuting attorney fought for a life sentence. But he was opposed by Winifred Standish, a child psychologist and a member of the mayor's board recently appointed to study juvenile delinquency.
Your Honor, before you pass sentence, I have something to say. There is no question in anyone's mind but what James Waldo's crimes must be punished. But I ask you to look at the background that led to these crimes. There was practically no parental supervision. There are no parks or recreation grounds in that poor neighborhood. But there are pool rooms and evil companions. The Juvenile Delinquency Board has looked into this case, and we feel that nothing is to be gained by life imprisonment. We feel that under proper supervision, James Waldo's life might be salvaged. And we ask that he be committed to a home for juvenile delinquents, where the members of the board can keep him under constant observation.
James Waldo, if this were left entirely to my own discretion, I must admit that I'd put you behind bars for the rest of your natural life. But I must take into consideration the Mayor's Juvenile Delinquency Board. And against my better judgment, I commit you to the State Reform School under the supervision of Mrs. Winifred Standish and the members of her board.
For the first 6 months at Reform School, Jimmy Waldo was sullen and morose. Winifred Standish spent many long hours trying to break down his reserve and get closer to the boy's inner emotions.
Don't you understand, Jimmy? This isn't really a reform school. That name's old-fashioned. It's really, well, a hospital.
And what have they got me here for? I ain't sick.
Your mind must have been sick, Jimmy, or you wouldn't have done the things you did.
I ain't done nothing. I didn't set them fires, and nobody can make me say I did.
Look, Jimmy, let's forget all about that. Let's start thinking about something entirely different. Baseball or football, for instance.
Do you think I'd play on the same team with the kids in here? They're a bunch of crooks. I don't want nothing to do with them.
Oh, Jimmy Waldo, I'm afraid you're your own worst enemy. The boys at the school you used to attend weren't a bunch of crooks. But you didn't get along with them either.
I'd get along with them if I had another chance. I didn't know when I was well off. If I'd have stuck with them kids at school instead of hanging around with them pool players, I wouldn't have been blamed for everything that happened. I knew them guys were no good, but I didn't have sense enough to stay away from them.
You mean you'd like another chance to go back to parochial school?
Sure I would. I'd show them. I'd show everybody they was wrong about me.
Well, Jimmy, it'll be a difficult job to convince the mayor that you're worth a chance. Perhaps if you behave here for another 6 months and try to be cooperative and make friends...
I'll do it. I'll get along swell, Mrs. Standish. I'll do anything you say if I just get a chance to make good back in my old neighborhood.
This was the spark that Winifred Standish had been waiting for. It was a spark of hope for Jimmy Waldo's future. He became a model student. He cooperated with his teachers and became popular with his classmates. After months of model behavior, Winifred Standish was able to convince the mayor and the parole board that Jimmy Waldo was deserving of a chance to make good at his old school, under strict probation, of course.
Hey, Jerry, I was wondering if... Well, you know I used to play left field once. I wonder if I can try out for the team again.
Huh? What do you take us for? You think we want to play baseball with a firebug?
Hello, Mike. How are you, Mike? Oh. Oh. Hi, Bill. Ain't any of you guys talking? What are you trying to give me? What are you trying to do to me? Okay, I'm a firebug. I'll show him I'm a firebug. I'll show him.
Hey, look at that blaze. It's a school. It's a parochial school.
Hey, that's a terrific fire. You'll never be able to save that building. All right, Jimmy. This time we've got you dead to rights.
You don't have to shove me around. I showed him, didn't I? I showed him.
Shut up and sit down.
Quit shoving me.
Look at him, Mrs. Standish. Take a good look at him. There's the kid you and your mayor's board have been spending the taxpayers' money on.
Jimmy, answer me truthfully. Did you start that fire? Did you try to burn up the school?
Sure I did it, and I'm glad I did it. They had it coming to them, didn't they? I'll show them nobody can kick me around and call me a firebug.
Oh, I'm beginning to understand. Mr. Walsh, I wonder...
Whatever it is, no, Mrs. Standish. This time no board of crackpots is going to keep him out of the pen where he belongs.
Go ahead. Send me to the pen. What do I care?
Mr. Walsh, doesn't it occur to you as rather strange that Jimmy would so readily admit starting his school fire and still deny having started the ones you convicted him of?
What's strange about it? I didn't set them other fires. I didn't.
Shut up, you. I don't see what those other fires have got to do with this, Mrs. Standish. He was convicted, and that's that.
Oh, no, it isn't. If it can be proved that Jimmy Waldo had nothing to do with those other fires, I think it'd be quite apparent to everybody that this school fire is the court's responsibility.
What?
If Jimmy was sent to reform school for something he didn't do, the court is responsible for the brand his schoolmates have placed upon him, the brand of firebug. My committee feels that we should do everything possible to clear up all doubt about those other fires. For that reason, we'd like to have Jimmy take a deception test at the Keeler Laboratories before he's brought to trial for the school fire.
You mean lie detector? Well, it's all right with me, but I'm convinced the kid isn't worth it. I can't for the life of me understand why you women waste so much time on these hopeless incorrigibles.
Perhaps it's because you aren't a woman, Mr. Walsh.
The Jimmy Waldo deception test was turned over to two of my top polygraph operators, Jack Harrison and Al Breetzman. Each operator tested the boys separately, and each brought in a clear record. We were all convinced that Jimmy reacted normally on the polygraph, and that he'd been falsely convicted of setting the original fires, and through this false conviction had been jibed and taunted by his classmates into setting the school fire. But Inspector Ben Walsh had little faith in our theories.
The kid's no good. If I can prevent it, that lie detector record won't be admitted in court. You think the kid's innocent of setting those first fires? Just show me the guy who did set them. If you can get a confession out of somebody else, I'll be ready to admit I'm wrong about the kid. And not before.
Here was a challenge I couldn't afford to ignore. The reputation of the polygraph was at stake, as well as the reputation of the mayor's board for the study of juvenile delinquency. I reviewed the case from the beginning. The whole thing looked hopeless, but I couldn't afford to leave a stone unturned. I talked with everyone I met in Jimmy's neighborhood, and it was there that the first ray of hope manifested itself.
Oh, yeah. It was Dan Tomasello's house that was the first to go. Oh, it was a terrible thing, the way his wife jumped out of the window with all the clothes burning.
Tomasello. Where's he living now?
Oh, he moved away from here. He's living over on Sand Street. He's married, you know. 6 months ago, he found himself another wife.
Ah. Well, I suppose a man can remarry within a few months after his wife's death, but it's the exception rather than the rule. I was working on a very thin hunch, but I decided to look Tomasello up. There was no one at home when I called at his new house, but I met the mailman coming up the steps.
Hello, this is Daniel Tomasello's house, isn't it?
Yes, sure it is. And you'll never find them home this time of the day. They're at the track practically every afternoon.
The track? You mean horses?
Yes, sure. Ever since I delivered that insurance check on his first wife, him and the second one spend all their time out there.
Well, thanks. Thank you very much. The hunch grew stronger now. Tomasello's wife had been insured. His marriage so soon after her death, his afternoons at the track. I polled the insurance companies and found the agent who had paid his death claim.
Well, this is a very unusual request, Mr. Keeler, but naturally, if your plan works, it will interest my company very much.
It's worth a try, anyway. Now, I'll take care of the details if you get in touch with Tomasello and have him come to your office.
All right. I'll tell him I want to talk to him about his claim. If he thinks there may be some more money coming to him, he'll be glad to come in. At what time do you want him?
Oh, let's make it about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Shortly after 11 the next morning, Daniel Tomasello arrived at the insurance agent's office. He was asked to wait for a while, then ushered into a small client's interviewing room.
Here, what's that smell in here? Something burning. What's this stuff on the table? Hey, what are they trying to do? They know. Let me out of here! Let me out of here!
That smell was a piece of flour sack dipped in kerosene and burning in an ashtray. The stuff on the table Daniel Tomasello referred to was a pile of flour sacks and a can of kerosene.
Look, I can't stand it. I told you I did it. I told you, didn't
Shut
I?
up and stop blubbering. I want the whole story right from the beginning.
Well, it was Rosie, my new wife. She wanted me to do it so we could have the money.
So you set fire to your own house while your wife was asleep. Murdered her so you and this Rosie could collect on her insurance.
Yes, I told you. Now let me alone.
Keeler, you sure turned something up here. Tell me, Tomasello, what gave you the idea of using the Waldo house to soak your rags, huh?
Well, nobody was ever home there. Jimmy was always hanging around the pool rooms. It was easy to make them think he did it.
Yeah, it was easy, all right.
You planted all that evidence in Jimmy's basement and then set a whole series of fires in the neighborhood. Well, you certainly succeeded in taking suspicion away from yourself and throwing it all on Jimmy, didn't you, Dan?
Look, you don't have to ask me nothing more. You know everything now. Let me alone.
I should have smelled a rat when Tomasello was so anxious to turn young Waldo in as the firebug. I guess no one's going to be perfect, Keeler.
Well, it's a break for Jimmy that Tomasello's crime wasn't a perfect one. Young Waldo might be spending his life in jail.
I owe that kid an apology, Keeler. And I owe you one, too. And while I'm going around apologizing, I'm going to appear before the mayor's board for the study of juvenile delinquency and tell them I'm doing a great job. There are all kinds of ways to fight crime, Keeler. And from now on, I'm going to listen to all of them.
The Hidden Truth stars Hart McGuire as Leonard Keeler, dramatizing actual case histories. Featured with him in tonight's presentation, you heard the following artists: John Parker, John Mellion, Moya O'Sullivan, Wayne Polson, Al Garcia, and Guy Dolman. Be with us again for The Hidden Truth, a Columbia Hilda Kerr production. The whole truth? Nothing but the truth? The Hidden Truth. The vital human drama of the famous lie detector, bringing you authentic case histories from the files of the late Leonard Keeler, one of the world's foremost scientific criminologists. Mr. Keeler's real-life part is played by Hart McGuire, who reveals from week to week some of the most baffling human dramas of our times. The Hidden Truth.
A few years ago, a slight, sandy-haired little man named Stuart Hall was seated at the desk of Detective Sam Drake of the Los Angeles Bureau of Missing Persons. Mr. Hall was considerably shaken, and from time to time he seemed about to faint, but gradually, after many stops and starts, Drake drew the story out of him. Mrs. Henrietta Hall, aged 46, had disappeared from their ranch home in the nearby community of Burbank at 9:30 p.m. 2 nights before. Like her husband, she was quite small, weighing about 96 pounds.
Only 96 pounds, eh, Mr. Hall? Why, she might have just evaporated.
Mr. Drake, if you see fit to make a joke of this matter...
Oh, not at all. My apologies, Mr. Hall. Go ahead.
As far as her husband knew, Henrietta Hall had taken nothing with her except her purse containing a small sum of money. He couldn't think of any reasons that might have prompted her to leave. Drake noticed Hall's haggard, hollow-eyed appearance and realized the little man was genuinely concerned.
I haven't slept for 2 nights. Oh, I should have come here after I discovered she was gone, but I was hoping she'd return and there wouldn't be any scandal.
Scandal?
I mean, my family's never had its name in the paper. And...
Sure, I understand how you feel about it. But sometimes the papers are a big help. Many a missing person has been located through the press, you know.
I suppose so. Well, I was foolish not to have come here sooner, but just not myself.
Mr. Hall, I'd suggest that you let me handle it from now on. You just go home and try to relax. I'll call on you when I need you.
All right. But don't hesitate to call me, Mr. Drake. I want to cooperate in every way. If anything happens to Henrietta, I'll never forgive myself.
Sam Drake checked the details of his report once more, then picked up his telephone.
Mrs. Drake, got an assignment for you. I want you to round up all the newspaper reporters assigned to this division. Yeah, that's right. Got a case for them to shoot the works on. Rush it, will you?
Again, Sam Drake went over his report. He'd heard of Stuart Hall. In spite of his slight, nondescript appearance, Hall was a man of considerable means and influence in the Burbank ranch community in which he lived. Hall was a successful nurseryman, enjoyed a clean reputation amongst his neighbors. He'd been married to Henrietta for 25 years, and it seemed strange that she should, of her own free will, walk out on her home and husband.
There's something here that doesn't meet the eye.
Drake walked into the teletype room, and his report went out over the machines. The Los Angeles Bureau of Missing Persons was in action. In less than an hour, the story of Henrietta Hall's disappearance was in print. And Drake's report reached police headquarters scattered all over California. Apparently, however, there was one person who hadn't seen the newspapers. About an hour and a half after Stuart Hall had left, a pretty girl about 20 years old called at Sam Drake's office.
Yes? What can I do for you?
I couldn't put it off any longer. If Father isn't going to report Mother missing, I will.
All right, let's have it. Mother's name, please?
Henrietta Hall.
What? Just a minute. What's your name?
Susan Hall. 2 nights ago, my mother left the house and no one's seen her since. I tried to get Father to report it, but...
Your father has reported it, Susan.
Oh. Well, then you know all about it?
Everything except what's happened to her. What do you think happened to your mother, Susan?
She wouldn't have walked out on Dad without telling me. I know she wouldn't.
You seem pretty positive about that.
I am positive. In 2 weeks, my brother Ralph is due home from Japan. He's been in the Army of Occupation over there, and Mother's been getting ready for his homecoming. I'm positive that a team of wild horses couldn't have dragged her away with Ralph coming home.
Yes, that does make a lot of sense, doesn't it? Susan, you mentioned that your mother wouldn't walk out on your dad at this time. Have there been times when she might have walked out on him? I mean, have your mother and Dad ever discussed divorce?
Oh, yes, they did.
Oh?
I think Mother even went to a lawyer once.
What was the trouble between them?
Well, I guess it was Ralph and me. Dad's always been pretty strict with us. Well, he didn't mean to be. It's just his way. No one could want a better father. But Mother often gave us permission to do something that Dad had refused to let us do. Mother was always pretty easy with us, and, well, it made Dad furious sometimes. It just started them arguing.
Mm-hmm. How long ago did your mother see her lawyer?
Oh, a long time ago. About 5 or 6 years, I think. Before Ralph went into the army.
5 or 6 years. Well, an argument that long ago couldn't have had much bearing on what happened 2 nights ago.
I don't believe my mother went away by herself, Mr. Drake. I can't believe it.
Well, why not?
She was deathly afraid of the dark. She never left the ranch alone at night unless she drove. She has her own car, but it's still in the driveway, just where she left it that afternoon.
Susan, I'm going to ask you a personal question about your mother, but you understand any information that can help us get to the bottom.
I understand.
As far as you know, has your mother ever had any interest outside of your father?
You mean another man?
Yes.
Never. Well, Mother loves Dad very much. I know she does. He's always been wonderful to her. Except for their arguments about Ralph and me. Well, they've never had any real trouble.
Well, thank you, Susan. You'll be around if I need you, won't you?
I'll be at the ranch. Father's so upset that, well, I feel I ought to stay right there with him all the time.
You're perfectly right. This whole thing is naturally a great strain on your father. Well, goodbye, Susan.
Goodbye. And thank you.
Hey, hello there.
Nard, Keeler. What are you doing in town, man?
Oh, Sam, just a fast business trip. Flying back to Chicago in a couple of hours and thought I'd drop by for a chat.
Well, come on in.
Thanks.
Can't think of anyone I'd rather chat with.
I see by the papers you got another big one on your hands, Sam.
Yeah. Wish I knew just how big. Hey, how do you happen to be in town in the case without my knowing anything about it, huh?
Not a case, Sam. I said business.
Oh? Managed to interest the DA's office in that lie detector of yours?
Well, enough so that he's sending some of his top men to my Chicago polygraph school to learn to operate the machine.
Well, good for the DA.
Yeah.
But why shouldn't he be interested anyway? You've proved 1,000 times what a great job that machine can do. Say, when did you say your plane leaves?
In a couple of hours.
2 hours. Have you got a polygraph machine with you?
Well, I left one at the DA's office for them to experiment with, but what's in your mind?
Come on. We pick it up and run over to Burbank.
Hey, now, wait a minute. Who's the subject?
Stuart Hall. It'll save us a lot of time if we can be sure he's given us a straight story.
Oh, I read his story in the paper. You got reason to doubt it?
Oh, just a slight one. But so far, this thing makes very little sense. She was looking forward to her son's arrival from Japan, and yet she's gone. She's a woman of means, yet she pulls out with nothing but a few dollars in her purse and the clothes in her back. Have you an answer to it, Nard?
Well, it would help to be sure her husband's telling the truth, now, wouldn't it?
It would. Are you with me, Nard?
I have 2 hours. Sam Drake and I picked up the polygraph at the district attorney's office and drove out to Burbank. As we drove up to the house itself, we saw a typically Californian ranch dwelling, long, low, trim, and glittering white. The door was opened by Susan Hall. After the introduction was over, Drake said,
Mr. Keeler and I would like to talk to your dad, Susan.
Well, he's terribly sick and upset. The doctor's been here and sent him to bed.
You don't think he's feeling well enough to answer a few questions?
If he's awake, I'll ask him. I'll be right back.
Suppose he is sick, Nard. What then?
Well, I might get a mass reaction.
A mass reaction?
Yeah, he might be too emotionally upset to give us a representative reading on the polygraph. You know, fluctuations in his blood pressure, pulse rate, rate of breathing, and skin resistance. Well, they might be all jumbled up due to his illness, his genuine grief and concern over his wife's disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
Might be better to wait until Hall's in a more normal condition, Sam.
What about that plane of yours?
Well, I see a phone over there. You want me to stick around?
I sure do. Until we can make some sense out of this thing.
All right. I'll call the airport and cancel.
Well, what about it, Susan? How is he?
I don't think you better try and see him now, Mr. Drake. Dad's not asleep, but well, he's twisting and turning something awful, and he's shivering all over.
What do you think, Nard?
Some of the time, Sam, I think Miss Hall's right. We'd better let her father get some rest.
All right, Susan. We'll be back in the morning.
Oh, Mr. Drake.
Yes?
I just found something in my mother's room that puzzles me.
Why, what have you there?
It's my mother's upper plate, and, well, that's what worries me. Mother was always terribly self-conscious about her mouth, and she wouldn't dream of going anywhere without this.
Susan, do you think your mother has a substitute plate? Another one just like this?
Well, she might have, but I hardly think so.
Have you told your dad about this?
Oh, no. Oh, no, I didn't want to distress him any more than I can help.
You're perfectly right. Don't say a word to him about it. He seems to be having trouble enough as it is. Well, we'll be back in the morning, Susan.
Goodbye, Miss Hall.
Goodbye, Mr. Keeler.
Getting warm, Sam?
Warm? Sizzling, Nard, sizzling. Stuart Hall told me his wife was around the house all day, and he didn't miss her until 9:30 that night. Unless she has another one, that denture on her table means that she'd retired for the night.
Yeah, sounds logical. She probably had no intention of leaving the place.
I don't think Henrietta Hall ever did leave the place, Nard. Not alive, anyway.
The Hidden Truth continues in just a moment.
After leaving the Hall Ranch in Burbank, we made one stop to call the airport and cancel my plane reservations. Then we drove on to San Fernando and did some checking with Dr. Coles, Henrietta Hall's dentist.
Yes, this is the one, all right. I made this plate for Mrs. Hall about 6 months ago. She was terribly sensitive about her appearance and insisted on having the denture immediately after extraction.
Did you make her a substitute plate by any chance?
No, only this one.
Well, thank you, Dr. Coles. Thank you very much.
Outside the dentist's office, Sam Drake stopped and made a very positive statement.
Nard, it's a lead pipe cinch that Henrietta Hall's been murdered.
Yeah, it sure looks that way, Sam, but where's the body and who did it?
Yeah, we're in a ticklish spot. We'll have to step easy from now on. The logical suspect is her husband. But what's his motive?
But how can you accuse him of murder unless you produce the body?
Well, that's just it. I can't. Unless you can break him down and get a confession on that lie detector of yours.
If it's all the same with you, I'd just as soon wait until Hall calms down a bit and gets more rational.
Okay. But in the meantime, there's only one thing to do. We've got to search that property, and we've got to come right out in the open and tell Hall that we suspect murder.
The next morning, Sam Drake and I called on Stuart Hall again. Sam was determined to see him in spite of his illness. We found him still in bed, but sitting up and reasonably composed. If we expected to find any signs of guilt when Sam told Hall his suspicions, we were disappointed. There was no sign of guilt. Only shock and dismay.
If you think Henrietta's been murdered, well, naturally I want to do everything I can to help you find her killer. Now, take the whole ranch apart if you want to. It hasn't been worth a hoot to me ever since Henrietta disappeared. Oh, wait a minute. What are those metal rods your men are carrying?
Hall was looking out of the window and saw Drake's men in the yard.
They're probing rods, Mr. Hall. They save a lot of digging. My men intend to probe every inch of your ranch. Oh, Mr. Hall, while we're here, I'd like to ask a favor of you.
Anything I can do.
Sooner or later, we're going to ask everyone on this ranch, you, your daughter, your employees, perhaps some of your neighbors, everyone who might have some inkling as to your wife's whereabouts, to take a lie detector test.
Lie detector?
Do you object, Mr. Hall? Mr. Keeler has the apparatus with him. He could run your test right now. Do you object?
No, I don't object. But do you have to do it right now? I'm a sick man. Can't you see I'm a sick man? Talk to my doctor. He'll tell you how sick I am.
All right. I'll talk to your doctor, Mr. Hall. And just as soon as he thinks you're in condition, I'm going to insist that you cooperate.
I'll cooperate. I want to cooperate, but I'm a very sick man. Sam Drake's men now went to work in earnest. 10 acres is a lot of property, but they laid it out systematically and started to go over it inch by inch with their probing rods. Scrapings were collected from the furnace bricks, together with ashes and debris, and taken to the crime laboratories. But the first day's efforts were scheduled for failure. The probing rods found no body. The laboratory microscopes found no evidence that Henrietta Hall's body had been cremated in the furnace.
Nord, I've been talking to Hall's doctor.
What'd you find out, Sam? How's Hall coming along?
He's as well as he'll ever be. The doctor claims he's a chronic complainer. Hall's not as sick as he's pretending to be. He's faking, Nard.
An interesting case.
Yeah. So interesting that I've had him picked up. He's being held incommunicado at the city jail.
He'll really stew down there, won't he?
Well, let him stew. He's in trouble. The only way he can clear himself is by taking that test of yours.
All right. I'll go down to the jail with you in about an hour. If it's all right with you, I'm going to ask Susan Hall to take a polygraph test right now.
I won't answer any more questions, Mr. Keeler. I won't.
You're just delaying the test, Susan. If you refuse to answer, it's quite obvious you're hiding something from me.
I'm not hiding anything. I'm not.
Susan, tell me. Do you know who murdered your mother?
No, I told you I didn't know. I told you.
But you're lying, Susan. The polygraph shows you're lying. You do know, don't you, Susan?
I don't.
You brought your mother's denture to Mr. Drake just to throw suspicion on your father, didn't you?
Dad did kill her. Who else would?
You know who else would, don't you, Susan?
I don't.
Let her alone. Let my sister alone.
Well, Ralph, you got back from Japan sooner than anyone expected, didn't you?
I got back 4 days ago.
I know. I read about it in the paper. Changed your orders, didn't they?
He knows, Ralph. He couldn't make me tell him, but that lie detector, he knows.
You shouldn't have tried to make him blame Dad, Susie. I know what you were trying to do, but they've got Dad in jail. We can't let them do that.
But Ralph, Oh, Ralph.
It's no use. I could never live with it anyway. Nobody could live with it. It keeps coming back to me. It won't go away. It keeps coming back to me. Coming back.
Hello. Who is that? Is someone there?
Don't be frightened, Mom. It's me.
Ralph! Ralph, darling!
Don't make any noise, Mom. No one saw me come into the house, and I don't want anyone to know I'm back until I've had a chance to talk to you.
But we weren't expecting you for 2 weeks. What is it, Ralph? Is something wrong?
Not unless you think it's wrong.
What have you done? Oh, tell me quickly.
I got married, Mom.
Married? Why, Ralph. Ralph, that's wonderful. Oh, did you think your family would object to that?
She's coming over in about a week. They're sending all the Japanese wives over in the next boat.
Japanese?
She's beautiful, Mom. Just like any other girl. And a lot sweller than a lot. I met her...
Ralph, we can't let her come. Your father had never...
But you got him, Mom. You got to square it with Dad. You don't know what she means to me.
Ralph, I've squared things with your father all your life. But, son, this is one thing I can't do. I won't even talk to your father about this because I won't permit it myself.
Tomorrow I'll talk to Army headquarters about it. And
Mom, what's the matter? What is it?
We won't accept her here, Ralph. I know it's hard for you to understand, but someday you'll thank me for this.
Mom, I didn't know you'd take it like this. Gosh, Mom. Mom, open your eyes.
Mother, did I hear you call me? Ralph.
I think she's dead, Susie. I don't know how it happened, but I think she's dead.
Where is your mother now, Ralph?
In the big greenhouse, buried under the middle bench. It took me all night. I wanted Dad to think she'd gone away. Shock might have killed him, too. And I didn't want to lose Dad as well.
Oh, Ralph.
I know you think I killed her, Susie, and you try to protect me. But I didn't kill her. I didn't. I think she was so stunned at my coming home and being married. I mean, her heart must have just...
Oh, I want to believe you, Ralph. I want to believe you.
A polygraph deception test substantiated Ralph Hall's story. As far as I could determine, he was telling the truth, and the coroner's verdict was in accord with the polygraph. Henrietta Hall's body was exhumed, and there was no mark of violence. Her death was recorded as a stroke due to shock. Ralph Hall is back in Japan now, and his sister and father carry on the ranch. But in the hearts of all of them dwells human tragedy. Tragedy that years cannot erase.